What if Xenomorphs invaded Marvel Universe? The Xenomorph Queen hangs in a cold, dead ship between the stars, starving for new hosts. Through a cracked alien window, she feels a pulse of blue power from far away, like a beacon. The power leaks from a damaged cube-shaped device, once Kree tech, now twisted by stolen space stone energy. The Queen pushes her hive minds forward, forcing warriors and eggs through the glowing tear the device opens toward a fat, bright world. The tear widens, screams in empty space, and a breach snaps open above Earth. Over New York City, the clear afternoon sky splits like glass. A jagged line of blue and white fire tears across the clouds. People on the street stop, phones raised, mouths open. Some remember the Chitauri attack and feel that old fear return. Above them, the crack in the sky keeps widening. On a news chopper, a cameraman zooms in. He sees dark shapes spilling out of the wound. They fall fast, each wrapped in a burning shell. "Are those meteors?" the pilot asks. The cameraman shakes his head as one black speck leaves a trail of green steam. "Whatever they are," he says, "they're alive." In Avengers Tower, alarms howl. Tony Stark stands in front of a city hologram as red markers bloom over Manhattan. "FRIDAY report," he says. "Multiple organic objects entering at high speed," the AI answers. "Composition unknown. Threat level extreme." Tony's chest unit locks into place. Liquid metal flows over him and becomes the Iron Man armor. He steps through the opening glass and drops into the air. "Call everyone," he says. "This feels like another alien field trip." Jets roar as he blasts toward the falling shapes. On a busy midtown sidewalk, Peter Parker walks out of a deli with a sandwich. His spider sense slams into him like a hammer. He staggers, looks up, and sees the sky wound. The sandwich falls from his hand. He sprints into an alley, pulls on his mask, and Spider-Man swings out over the street. In Brooklyn, Steve Rogers hears sirens rise in layers. He steps from a small apartment onto the fire escape. The crack glows above the skyline like a dirty star. He pulls his helmet from his bag and sets it on. "Sam," he says into his comm, "we've got trouble." "I see it, Cap," Falcon answers, banking past the crack. "Whole sky looks wrong." Steve jumps from the fire escape, catches a ladder and drops fast. His shield rests on his back. "Then we've got work to do," he says. At the New York Sanctum, Dr. Stephen Strange feels the breach before he sees it. Shelves rattle, lanterns swing. A thin line of light crawls across the air like a cut in glass. Wong steps in, staff already in his hand. "Space is wounded," Wong says. Strange goes to the window and looks out. The crack above the city is not just light, he can feel something pushing through. "This isn't natural," he says, "or safe." Underground in a SHIELD command room, agents watch dozens of screens. Maria Hill stands at the center, headset on, eyes sharp. "Route feeds from Stark, Rogers and Strange to the main board," she orders. The logo of the world's main spy agency glows behind her. A technician swallows as more red symbols appear. "Director Fury is on secure," someone calls. Nick Fury appears on the central monitor, one eye narrowed. "What did I miss?" he asks. "Alien portal over New York," Hill answers. "Organic drops in multiple locations. Avengers are moving." Fury's jaw tightens. "Any known signatures?" he says. "Chitauri, Kree, something with old files." "Negative," Hill says. "Patterns don't match." Fury looks at one screen where a black shape hits the river and vanishes. "Then find me answers," he says, "before we run out of city." Over the Hudson, one of the falling pods hits the water. It is a twisted shell of bone and metal, shaped by a mind that never knew mercy. It cracks open under the surface. A long black body slides out, smooth and eyeless. A glistening tail whips behind it. On a small boat, a father and two kids stare at ripples near the hull. A long tail rises, then slams down, cutting the rail. Water splashes into the boat. The father pushes his children behind him. The creature pulls itself up, shining and wet, teeth opening in layers. The xenomorph leans in, tasting their fear. Then a red and gold blur hits it from the side and blasts it into the sky. Iron Man drags the alien above the river. Claws scrape against his armor. Green acid spits and burns tiny pits in his chest plate. "Okay, that's not friendly," Tony says. He twists and fires a repulsor blast point blank. The beam tears the creature apart. Acid sprays and hisses where it falls back into the water. "Note to self," Tony mutters. "No hugging the bug." Closer to Times Square, a pod slams into a rooftop and explodes. 3 xenomorphs roll out of the smoke. They move on hands and feet with the smooth grace of predators. Their tails carve trails in the tar. They head toward the screams. On a nearby wall, Spider-Man swings past. He sees the creatures leap across a gap like shadows. His spider sense screams again. "That is not good," he says. He shoots webs and swings down toward them. He lands on the roof between the aliens and the stairs. "Hi," he says, trying to sound brave. "You guys lost?" The nearest xenomorph hisses and lunges. Peter jumps straight up, barely clearing the snapping jaws. He fires 2 web lines at its legs and yanks. The creature slams onto its back. Green fluid spits from its jaws and burns a hole in the roof. "Acid," Peter says. "Of course." He pulls the monster toward the edge and kicks it off the building, away from the stair door. Across the river, a beam of rainbow light crashes into an empty street. When it fades, Thor stands there, hammer in hand. He looks up at the wound in the sky, then down at the burning pods. "Midgard calls again," he says. Thunder gathers around him as he launches himself upward. In the lower levels of the city, a woman in black checks her pistols. Natasha Romanoff, the Black Widow, stands on a rooftop and watches chaos below. People run. Cars jam intersections. She spots a black shape racing along a side wall toward a fire truck. She jumps. Her grapple line snaps taut and swings her into the alley. The xenomorph turns toward her, smooth head glistening, inner jaws sliding forward. Natasha fires an electroshock bolt into its neck. The creature spasms and slams into the brick. She rolls under its whipping tail and fires again and again. "Stay down!" she says through clenched teeth. The alien lunges, shrugging off the shocks. Before it reaches her, a green blur crashes into it. Bruce Banner lets go and the Hulk roars as he hits. He smashes the xenomorph into the pavement. Acid blood sprays over his arms and chest. Hulk howls as his skin smokes and burns. "Hulk does not like this bug," he yells. He rips the creature apart and throws the pieces away. They land on a car and melt deep holes in the hood. Hulk looks at his burned skin, then at Natasha. "Hurts," he says, raw and angry. Banner's calmer voice whispers inside his head, measuring the burns. "Distant strikes," Banner thinks. "Don't tear them if you can help it." Hulk growls his answer. "Hulk smash anyway." But even he starts to be more careful. On a sleek jet above the city, a Panther symbol shines near the wing. Inside, T'Challa wears his Black Panther suit. Shuri's face appears on a small screen near his seat. "Brother, I'm reading some very rude biology down there," she says. "The sample Stark beamed is ugly." "I will try not to let it touch me," Black Panther says. "Wakanda stands with New York." The jet doors open. He jumps, lands on a rooftop, and the vibranium weave hums around him. Below, he sees 3 xenomorphs rushing a trapped crowd. He drops between them and the civilians. His claws slide out. "Stay behind me," he tells the people. The aliens circle, tails twitching. Black Panther moves first. He kicks one aside and slashes another across the chest. Acid splashes over his suit and sizzles, but the vibranium absorbs the force. The third alien leaps at the civilians. Spider-Man swings down from above and kicks it away. "Backup has arrived," Peter says, landing next to T'Challa. "Try not to get goo on the nice cat." Black Panther almost smiles under his mask. "Focus, Spider-Man," he says. They stand side by side as the xenomorphs regroup. Across the city, heroes move. Falcon dives between buildings. War Machine fires from above, heavy guns pounding. Doctor Strange opens glowing orange portals to catch some of the falling pods and drop them harmlessly into the ocean. The crack in the sky grows anyway. On a rooftop near the river, Steve Rogers finally joins the main line. His uniform is already scorched from earlier fights. He plants his feet in the middle of a broken street. 5 xenomorphs stalk around him in a loose circle. He raises his shield. One alien charges. He meets it head on, shield first. The impact sends a shock up his arm. The creature's claws screech across vibranium. Steve slams it aside with a sharp swing. It smashes into a parked truck. Acid splashes from its mouth and eats into the metal. He notes the pattern in his mind. Keep the hits clean. Avoid messy kills near people. "Thor," he says into his comm. We need rain and thunder, anything to slow them down. I hear you, Captain, Thor replies. Dark clouds swirl overhead. Rain begins to fall, washing smoke from the air. Lightning flashes around the crack. Thor hurls his hammer at a small cluster of falling pods and blows them apart. High above, Strange hovers in his cloak of levitation. He feels raw pressure against his mind. The portal is not a simple doorway, it is a tunnel, and something vast moves at the far end. He draws a wide, glowing circle in the air. Orange bands lash out and wrap around the edges of the crack. They slow its growth. Energy snaps and sparks. Strange's head throbs with pain. This gate is tied to a living mind, he says into a mystic link. It is pushing back. Wong answers from the sanctum. Can you close it? I can hold it, Strange says. For now. Closing would take more power and time than we have while the city burns. Then buy us minutes, Wong says. We will use them well. Codex note. Xenomorph hives can hijack weak space-time gates and treat them as living tunnels for their nests. In the HILD command room, Hill replays Stark's first fight. They watch acid burn pits in his armor. A science tech speaks quickly. Bioacid with extreme pH, she says. Melt steel in seconds. Hill nods. Send this to Stark, Banner and Wakanda, she says. Tell the Avengers to avoid ripping these things apart near civilians. Another operator turns. Ma'am, incoming call from the mayor's office, he says. Hill exhales and accepts it. The mayor appears on the big screen, shaken but steady. You promised this city protection, he says. Right now it looks like the sky is bleeding. Hill glances at live feeds of heroes pulling people from rubble. Without them, it would look much worse, she says. The mayor swallows. I see Captain America on the news, he says. I see your people in the streets. Tell them, thank you, and tell them New York is counting on them again. We will, Hill says. When the call ends, she looks at another screen. Nick Fury leans toward the cameras, watching the aliens move. These aren't just attackers, he says softly. They're an infection. His gaze shifts to Strange's energy bands holding the portal. And infections like to spread. Sir, Hill says, what's your call? Fury studies the map where more red dots appear. We treat it like a disease, he says. We shield the healthy, isolate the sick, and find the source before it kills the host. A fresh alarm rings. Multiple new portals, a tech reports. Signatures over the Atlantic, over Wakanda, and near a Kree station in orbit. Dots flare on the globe. The crack above New York is only one mouth. The invasion has more. In Wakanda, Shuri looks up through the lab window. The sky above the Golden City ripples with wrong-coloured light. Okoye and the Dora Milaje raise their spears on the palace walls. Where is the king? Okoye asks. In New York, someone answers. Helping the Avengers. Then we hold the line here, Okoye says. The first dark pods fall toward the shield dome. They explode against the energy field and splatter with furious life. Shuri's fingers fly over her console. Scanning, she says. These things really do not respect borders. Back over New York, the fighting slowly shifts. The first wave of pods has mostly landed. Xenomorphs skulk in alleys, on rooftops, in subway tunnels. Fire and smoke mark every block. The Avengers start to form a single line near the river. Iron Man drops from the sky. Thor lands in a burst of thunder beside Captain America. Hulk stomps into view, skin burned and smoking, but healing slow under the acid marks. Black Widow steps up, batons crackling. Spider-Man swings in and lands behind them, still breathing hard. Black Panther climbs from a lower street, suit glowing with stored kinetic energy. Doctor Strange floats above, cloak fluttering, hands still holding the portal's edge. For a moment they all face the river and the glowing wound together. Behind them, burning buildings and injured people show the cost of the first hour. In front of them, more pods still fall. Nick Fury's voice echoes in all their earpieces. Avengers, he says, assemble. Steve steps forward without thinking. This is our line, he says. We hold it. We don't let them spread. Strange speaks, voice strained. The hive mind runs through that tunnel, he says. I can feel its thoughts riding the energy. If we follow that trail, we can find their queen. Cut off the head, Tony says, and the body goes quiet. Usually, Natasha adds, Black Panther looks at the acid-scarred street. If this hive bonds with any of our enemies, he says, Hydra, AIM, any warlord who wants power, they will use our own world as food. Thor's eyes harden. Then we must not let even one nest root, he says. He lifts his hammer. Fury continues. Here's the plan, he says. Strange, keep that portal from swallowing Manhattan. Stark, Rogers, Thor, Banner, Romanoff, Parker, T'Challa. You clear civilians, destroy pods, and find any place these things try to gather. Hill and I will watch for new portals and look for the Queen's signal. And Wakanda? Shuri asks over the line. You hold your shield and buy us time, Fury says. Once we locate the source, we hit it with everything we've got. And if we don't find it, Natasha asks quietly, then we make sure as many people as possible are still alive when someone does. Fury answers. The heroes move at once. Iron Man and Spider-Man break off to help at the worst fires. Thor and Hulk guard the bridges and ferries, smashing any alien that tries to cross. Black Widow and Black Panther sweep buildings, pulling people from wreckage and taking out small packs of Xenomorphs with quick, clean strikes. Captain America goes where the line is weakest. S.H.I.E.L.D. always where something is about to break. High above, Strange closes his eyes for a heartbeat. The hive's thoughts press against his mind from beyond the crack. They are simple and cold. Hunger, grow, spread. He sets his will against them like a wall. Far beyond the portal, the Xenomorph Queen feels that wall. She does not know his name. She only knows that someone resists. She forces more eggs into the tunnel. The pressure on Strange's mind spikes. As evening falls, New York is still standing. Barely. Smoke hangs low, lit by emergency lights. The portal burns like a false star over the river. Xenomorph bodies lie where the heroes have forced them back, their acid slowly cooling. Near a cluster of medical tents under the shadow of the hovering helicarrier, the Avengers regroup for a moment. Medics rush between stretchers. Civilians sit wrapped in blankets, staring at the sky. Steve walks past a child with bandaged arms clutching a small Captain America toy. The boy looks up. "Did we win?" he asks. Steve kneels, armor scorched and dirty. "We stopped the first wave," he says. "The fight isn't over, but we're not going to let them take our home." The boy nods and holds the toy tighter. Steve stands and joins Tony near a makeshift table covered in maps and screens. Tony pulls off his helmet. His face is grey with exhaustion. "Banner ran the numbers," he says. "If these things keep growing at the rate we saw today, this city is just the appetizer." Steve looks at the burning wound in the sky. "Then the first round is over," he says quietly. "We know what they are. We know what they can do." He looks at his friends, at the medics, at the scared people all around. Now we figure out how to stop them before the whole world becomes a nest. Up to now, the Avengers have held the first line. New York still stands. Wakanda's shield still shines, but the crack in the sky is still open, and the hive is still pushing through. The second wave hits at dawn. In the grey light over the East River, Stark's drones scream through the air. They map the city in bright wire lines. Red points flare in sewer tunnels, subway stations, and under a major hospital in Midtown. Friday's calm voice fills his helmet. Concentration of targets under St. Anne's Hospital reaches hive-level density, boss. Because of course the murder bugs picked the hospital, Tony mutters. He links the feed to the others. "Everyone, we've got a nest under St. Anne's. If it pops, we lose the whole block and every person in those beds." On another channel, he hears a distant thunder crack as Thor answers. "I will meet you there," Thor says. "Lightning and steel will clear their tunnels." "Careful with the lightning," Banner adds. "In case you missed yesterday, acid blood plus steam explosions in a sewer equals dead civilians." Strange hovers over Midtown, cloak fluttering in the cool air. He looks down at the hospital and feels it. A heavy, hungry knot in the space below. The hive has found warmth and shelter. He opens a small golden circle and peers through. The view shows wet walls, broken pipes, and thick resin glued over everything. Eggs line the floor in neat rows. Some are open and empty, some still pulse. Small, pale, spider-like things crawl between them. "We cannot let them hatch," Strange says. He closes the window. His hands start to glow. I can carve out the nest with a portal, but it will take fine control. I need the building cleared above me. On it, Steve says. He stands in the hospital lobby with Black Widow, Black Panther, and Spider-Man. Nurses and doctors move past them in an organised rush, guiding patients on beds and chairs toward the exits. Cap's voice is calm but urgent. "Keep moving, folks," he says. "Take only what you need. We've got you." A nurse with tired eyes nods at him. "We'll get them out," she says. "You keep whatever is under us from coming up here." Natasha is a blur in the halls. She moves from room to room, lifting people from beds, pushing wheelchairs, talking softly to those who can barely stand. Her face is set, but her voice is gentle. "This way," she says. "Stark's got the power back on the backup wing. You'll be safe there." On the roof, Spider-Man webs a makeshift slide from the upper floor window down to a lower building. He tests it with one quick swing. It holds. "Okay, emergency web evac route is live," he calls. "Next stop, not getting eaten." Black Panther guards the doors. His suit hums as people brush past. He watches the floor, listening. Deep below, he can hear faint scratching and hissing. "Faster," he says quietly. "We are running ahead of a wave." In the street outside, Hulk and Thor form the outer ring. Ambulances and buses line the block. Police cars and SHIELD trucks create a wider shield. Hulk breathes hard, skin still marked with old acid burns. Thor rests his hammer on his shoulder. "You sure you're good?" Thor asks. Hulk grunts. "Hulk heals," he says. Hulk smashes. Hulk does not let bugs hurt tiny people. He glares at the nearest sewer cover as if daring it to move. Iron Man drops from the sky and hovers over the hospital. He scatters a cloud of small drones that shine soft blue lights over the roof. "Everyone ready?" he asks. "Strange, you're on surgical removal. We'll cover the fallout." Strange closes his eyes. His hands move in a careful circle. A huge glowing ring appears in the air just above the hospital. Another ring opens deep in the ground, wrapped tight around the main nest. He feels slime, stone, pipes, and eggs brush against his mind. He sweats as he tightens the circle. Inch by inch, he cuts a cylinder of infected sewer away from the rest of the city. The hive pushes back, a dull, angry pressure at the edge of his thoughts. "Almost there," he says through gritted teeth. "Do not let anything jump out." Below, several eggs begin to open. Small facehuggers leap, sensing change. But the walls around them are already glowing orange. The whole section of tunnel tears free from reality. It rises, wrapped in light. On the street, the ground shakes. Cars rock. People gasp. A huge, wet, resin-covered chunk of sewer appears in the air like a floating wound. Inside it, Xenomorphs scream and claw at the glowing edges. "Thor!" Steve shouts. Thor lifts his hammer and calls the storm. Lightning gathers, then slams into the hovering cylinder again and again. The whole mass burns white hot. The xenomorphs inside thrash and melt. Hulk leaps up, smashing any alien that tries to claw its way out through weak spots. Acid sprays but turns to vapor against Strange's barrier. Black Panther launches sonic charges from his gauntlets. The vibrations weaken the resin and shake eggs apart before they can open. Iron Man and War Machine circle the burning mass, firing controlled blasts into any dark pocket that remains. The hospital vibrates. Dust falls from the ceiling, but the main structure holds. Inside, the last patients move over Spider-Man's web slide. Natasha and Cap are the last to leave, backing out with shields and batons ready. Strange feels the last living minds in the cylinder go silent. He pulls the burning mass higher into the sky. Then with a final effort, he opens a new portal above the ocean and drops it through. It vanishes with a hiss of steam. He sways in the air. Wong's voice comes through the mystic link. "Stephen, I'm fine." Strange lies, his hands shake. But the nest is gone. The hospital is safe. On the street, medics cheer. Patients in blankets clap weakly. Steve looks around at the people, at the still-standing hospital, at his team. They are tired, burned, bruised, but alive. Tony lands beside him, armor flickering as it cools. "We did it without dropping the building," he says. Strange gets a gold star. Or a nap. Maybe both. Steve nods. "This is what we have to do," Steve says. "Win big. but keep people alive. He glances at the distant crack over the river. One nest at a time until we reach whatever is making that. All over the city, similar winds add up. Wakanda's shield holds against falling pods. Okoye leads Dora warriors in tight lines, their spears channeling sonic waves that shatter eggs before they can open. Falcon and War Machine chase down stray Xenomorphs on bridges and roofs. SHIELD teams use Stark-designed foam launchers that trap acid and bodies in hardened shells. By nightfall, the map in the helicarrier's main room looks different. Red dots still glow, but fewer. Hill marks some areas as clear, others are marked with thick black rings, quarantine zones. Fury stands with his hands behind his back, eye on the centre of the board. "First big hit goes to us," he says. He taps the cleared hospital sector. "We proved we can cut their nests out without losing whole cities." Hill nods, but her face is tight. "Still a lot of red," she says, "and more portals keep trying to open. We're blocking most of them with Avengers or Wakandan shields, but we can't be everywhere." Fury looks up as the doors open. The War Council gathers. Steve walks in with Natasha and Banner. Tony follows, armor folding away as he steps. Thor, still smelling of thunder, stands near the window. Strange arrives through a small portal, looking pale, with Wong at his side. Black Panther appears as a tall hologram from Wakanda, with Shuri and Okoye just behind him. On another screen, the mayor of New York listens in. Beside him, a UN representative sits with headphones on. Around the table in person are Hill, Fury, and a few key SHIELD officers. Screens on the walls show live feeds from Wakanda, from a SWORD station in orbit, and from a small outpost in the Atlantic. Fury looks around the room. "This is the closest thing we have to a brain trust," he says. "So let's use it. Banner, Shuri, tell us about our guests." Banner taps a tablet and sends images to the wall. Skeleton scans, acid tests, egg cycle charts. "This thing is a xenomorph," he says. "Parasitic. It plants an embryo in a host. The host dies when the thing rips its way out. Fast growth, hard shell, acid blood, no fear." Shuri crosses her arms, eyes bright. "Vibranium can take their acid, more or less," she says. "It absorbs the impact and survives the burn, but their claws and tails can still hit hard, and if enough of them die in one place, the acid can pool, eat into foundations, even weaken our shield emitters." "Lovely," Tony says softly. "Anything good?" Shuri smiles a little. "They do not like certain sound ranges," she says. "My sonic spears disrupt their resin and their nervous systems. We can make more sonic weapons, share them with your teams, but we will need time and energy. And we cannot flood whole cities with sonic waves without hurting people." Strange studies an image of the portal over New York. "Their queen is not just pushing bodies through," he says. "She is using that damaged Kree device as a bridge. The space stone energy inside is warped. It makes tunnels, not doors, living tunnels that she can shift and thicken." Wong adds, "Every time we fight her pressure with magic, we strain the fabric of space." He looks tired but steady. "If we push too hard, we could tear something that doesn't heal, and other things could notice." "Other things like who?" Hill asks. Strange meets her gaze. "Dormammu," he says. "The dark dimension, or even higher judges who do not like when small beings break the rules of reality." He looks at Tony. "So no, we cannot just use the portal like a trash chute forever. There is a cost each time we cut it." Tony raises his hands. "I'm not asking you to break the universe," he says. "I'm asking how far we can safely bend it, because right now our options are limited." The mayor's face appears on one screen, lined with stress. "We're grateful for the hospital and the city," he says. "But I have to ask, how far are you willing to go to keep us safe? There are still people missing in those black ring zones. My police can't go in there. Your agents barely can." SHIELD field commander clears his throat. "We've had to seal some tunnels with people still inside," he admits. "Too many eggs. Not enough time. If we opened walls for them, the hive would have spread faster than our teams could move." His voice is steady but heavy. Steve stiffens. "How many?" he asks. "Dozens," the commander says. "Maybe hundreds in the worst sector. We marked their last known spots. We're keeping track in case we can go back when it's safe." Natasha's eyes darken. You mean in case they're not hosts by then, she says. Banner's jaw tightens. Fury looks around the table. This is the line we're walking, he says. Mercy versus survival. How many people we can save versus how many the planet can lose before there's nothing left worth saving. Steve meets his eye. We don't get to decide who lives and who dies by drawing circles on a map, he says. If there are people alive in those zones, we go in and get them. That's what we do. That's why they trust us at all. Fury does not flinch. And if going in turns one nest into 10 cities, he asks. If the xeno-infection uses every rescue attempt as a new growth point, you've seen what one missed egg can do. He spreads his hands. We're not talking about a regular army, Fury says. This is a plague with claws. You want to punch every tooth, I get that. But sometimes in disease control, you burn whole fields to save the rest. Strange leans on his staff. This is also about the rules of reality, he says. I can close that portal if we pour enough magical and tech energy into it. But there is a cost. The more I twist that space, the more attention we draw from things that judge worlds. They have burned whole dimensions for less. Tony rubs his face. So our options are, let the bugs spread while we rescue every person we can find, or slam the door and risk cosmic Judgment Day. He looks at Shuri's feed. Tell me you have a third choice that involves cool tech and not dying in Space Court. Shuri shrugs. My third choice is data, she says. We learn their signal. We learn how they talk between Hive and Queen, then we jam it. If we can cut their command chain without punching more holes in space, we might freeze swarms in place, make them easier to burn or capture without people getting chewed up in the chaos. Capture? Hill asks sharply. We're not weaponizing these things. Her tone leaves no room for doubt. Shuri shakes her head. I did not say use, she says. I said understand. We cannot fight a thing we do not understand. Wakanda has rules. We do not use monsters as weapons. We stop people who try. Banner nods. She's right, he says. I've spent most of my life being the monster people want to turn into a gun. You never win that game. You just make more ghosts. He glances at Tony. Tony holds his hands up again. Hey, I didn't build any xenomorph tanks, he says. Not on purpose anyway. But Shuri's right. We need to know how their hive brain works. Maybe we can cut it or confuse it. The UN representative speaks for the first time. Some of our member states are asking hard questions, she says. About quarantine. About using heavy weapons on infected zones. They want clear rules from you. They want to know what you will not do. Steve looks around the table. We do not bomb cities full of people, he says. We do not use these things as weapons. We do not give up on anyone just because it's harder to reach them. His voice is firm. That's our line. Natasha watches him, then looks away. Lines are easy on paper, she says. In the field you count seconds and blood. Yesterday I had to choose between shooting through an infected cop or letting a xenomorph get into a school. Nothing about it felt clean. She looks at the others. Mercy is good, she says quietly. But if mercy for one person means hundreds of kids get eaten in their classrooms, what is that? I won't call that mercy. I'll call it failure. Thor hits the table lightly with his fist. In Asgard we had laws for plagues and cursed beasts, he says. Sometimes we burned whole halls to stop a spreading curse. But we also had oaths. Protect the weak. Fight with honor. Never let fear turn you into the same kind of monster. He looks at Steve. I say we hold to our oaths as long as we can, Thor says. But we must be ready to cut when cutting is the only way to stop the rot. The trick is knowing when that truly is the only way. Strange speaks again. Voice softer. This is also about heresy, he says. Not religious heresy, reality heresy. The more we use the Space Stone's broken energy to solve our problems, the more we say, we know better than the laws that keep the universe in one piece. That is how sorcerers fall. That is how worlds fall. Tony folds his arms. And if we don't use everything we have, he asks, if we fight with one hand tied because we're afraid of cosmic rules and people die who could have lived, what do we say to them? Sorry, a space judge might be mad at us. I can't sell that. Wong's eyes are calm. We say we are part of something bigger than our fear, he says, that there are fates worse than death. A corrupted universe where nothing can die, where everything is a screaming hive is one of them. You cannot fix that with more power, only with discipline. The room falls quiet. Mercy versus survival. Freedom to use every tool versus duty to respect the shape of the world. No one walks away with a simple answer. Fury breaks the silence. We make rules now, he says. We stick to them unless we have no choice. We aim to save everyone we can, but if we find a nest that is about to spill into a whole continent and our only shot is burning it, we will call it. And I will take the blame. He looks at Steve. You don't get to carry this one alone, Rogers, he says. None of you do. That's the job. You're not gods. You're soldiers and protectors. You do the best you can with the time you get. Before Steve can answer, an alarm screams. All screens flicker, then snap to new feeds. A SWORD officer appears on one of the monitors, face white. This is Commander Brand from the Sentinel Station, she says. We have a situation. A new kind of xenomorph just breached our hull. The room tenses. On the screen, a space station hangs over Earth, shining with panels and antennae. A small pod clings to its side like a tick. A team of armored astronauts moves along the hull toward it. One of them shines a cutting torch. The pod splits open. A xenomorph crawls out, but it is not like the others. Its black shell is streaked with glowing blue lines. Space seems to bend around it in small ripples. It turns its eyeless head toward the nearest astronaut. The astronaut fires a rifle. The bullets slow as they near the creature, as if moving through thick water. They drift aside and spin into space. The creature's tail whips once. The astronaut's suit caves in with no sound. On the station's cameras, lights flicker. Energy fields stutter. Strange leans in, eyes narrowing. The Queen has learned to use the space stone energy, he says. She is making new forms, hybrids. Brand's voice shakes. This one eats our shields, she says. It turns our energy walls inside out. Our guns don't track right when we aim at it. It's like reality is slippery near it. The feed shakes as alarms wail. Banner's mind races. Like a localized gravity warp, he says. A body that bends paths, bullets, beams, even maybe magic lines. If it gets a foothold, he doesn't finish. On the screen, the new xenomorph slams its tail into the station hull. Metal wrinkles and tears like paper. Figures inside are dragged toward the breach as air roars out. The creature slides through the torn wall as if the edges do not exist. Inside, alarms go from red to pure white. Cut the feed, Fury orders. Brand protests. We can contain, cut the feed and seal the station. Fury snaps. Use your emergency protocols. Don't let that thing use your systems to jump anywhere else. The line dies. Silence falls again, heavier now. The xenomorph threat just moved from claws and acid to warped space and broken rules. They are learning. Strange looks, shaken. She is adapting to my counters, he says. She felt me cut out that hospital nest. She tasted the portal edges, and now she is making children that can twist the same energy. He grips the table. We have a new class of enemy, Hill says. Banner? He nods slowly. We can call the normal ones drones or warriors, Banner says. This new one is different. It's linked to the broken cube energy. It doesn't obey regular physics in its skin. He looks at the others. It attacks ideas, Banner says. Not just bodies. Your aim, your sense of distance, even your spells. It makes your tools lie to you. Shuri's eyes widen. Then our usual power plays are dangerous, she says. If we fire more energy, it gets more food. If we throw more shields, it gets more surfaces to twist. We will need new rules for fighting it. Power scaling interlude. I begins in the minds of the council. Think of this hybrid as a living black hole with claws, Banner says, using his hands to show. It doesn't swallow light or planets, but it bends the path of anything you throw at it. Missiles, bullets, even Hulk jumps. Strange adds. It also bends probability. Spells that should always hit can slide away. Portals can open in the wrong place if we cast too close. Shuri says, vibranium suits and weapons that store energy could overload when it is near, like a cup under a waterfall. Wong finishes, "We can still hurt it with simple, close, fast strikes. Things with less to twist, but that means going near its claws and acid. Every fight with it will be a knife fight on the edge of a storm." The debate shifts. Tony paces, mind racing. "So now we've got basic bugs and reality-bending bugs," he says. "Great. Wonderful. Anyone else feeling nostalgic for robot armies?" He looks at Strange. "You said pushing on the portal draws attention. What about pulling? Could you track the Queen's mind if she keeps using that broken cube?" Strange nods slowly. "Yes," he says. "Every time she uses the bridge, she leaves a trail, a psychic and spatial scar. I can follow it. But if I lean in too far, she will feel me. She might pull back, or she might pull me in." Steve's eyes narrow. "Into her hive?" he asks. "Into her nest," Strange says. "Where she is strongest, where the tunnels are thickest." T'Challa speaks from his hologram. "If we could strike at the Queen," he says, "we could end this faster. Cut the command head. Our wars teach us this. But it would mean sending a small team into the worst place." Okoye nods behind him. "The Dora would go," she says, "if the king asked it." Her eyes show no fear. Natasha leans forward. "A kill team inside the hive," she says. "That's a suicide run unless we know exactly what we're going into. But it might be our best shot before these hybrids get stubborn down here." She glances at the map. The UN representative shifts. "You're talking about taking this war off Earth," she says, "into another space. That could reduce collateral damage. But what if you fail? What if you bring that thing back with you?" Her question hangs in the air. Fury looks at Strange. "Can you carve a surgical path to the Queen?" he asks. Strange hesitates. "I can open a channel," he says, "but it will be like walking a tightrope over a pit. The Queen will push against it. She may send her new hybrids along the walls. She may twist the path to separate us, break us, or pull us in pieces." He looks tired, but his eyes are clear. "So we're back to doctrine versus survival," Banner says. "We could stay here, fight nests, and hope we can jam their hive signals before we run out of cities. Or we can push back through the portal, break some rules of safe magic, and hit the Queen where she lives. One is slow death. The other is a gamble with the universe." Steve looks at the faces around the table. At the mayor. At the UN rep. At his friends who have already bled for this planet. Many times. He takes a breath. "We don't let a monster decide the shape of our future," he says. "We don't let fear of what might happen stop us from doing what we must. If there's a chance to end this by going to the source, we take it. We do it carefully. We set guards. We set lines we will not cross. But we move." Natasha's eyes meet his. "You just chose the risky surgery," she says. He nods. "It's what we do," he says. "Run toward the fire, not away." He looks at Strange. "Can you guide a mission to the Queen?" Strange sighs. "Yes," he says, "but I'll need help holding the path. Wong, maybe some of the other masters, and someone to anchor us on this side in case things go wrong." Tony taps his chest. "Stark Tech can give you a tether," he says. "Nanofiber lines, beacon drones. If the path starts to twist, we can lock it to a known set of coordinates. It won't stop all. The weirdness, but it might keep the door from slamming shut on your neck." Shuri raises a hand. "And I can give you sonic and vibranium support," she says. "Portable emitters to disrupt nests, shields to handle acid. But you must promise to bring my toys back, or at least send me data before you die." Her small smile cuts the tension. Fury looks at Hill. "Start drafting," he says. "Operation names, risk reports, backup plans. If we do this, it's going to be the most dangerous thing we've tried since Thanos." He looks at the UN rep and the mayor. "We're not making this choice alone," he says. "But understand something. The Xenomorph Queen is not going to stop. She will keep building nests until this world is a shell full of teeth. We can either wait for that and hope we can outlast her, or we can punch her in the face now." The mayor nods, eyes hard. "New York doesn't run from fights anymore," he says. "If going to her stops more days like today, you have our backing." The UN rep takes a breath. "We will need to consult," she says. "But I think most nations will agree. Better a controlled strike far away than endless battles in our cities. She looks at Steve. Just don't forget the people still trapped down here while you chase the Queen. Steve nods. We won't, he says. We'll set rescue teams for every sector we can. We won't turn our backs on them. Fury closes the meeting with a sharp nod. Then we move, he says. Avengers, Masters of the Mystic Arts, Wakanda, you have your tasks. Prep gear, prep spells, prep your souls, because next round we're going into the hive itself. As the heroes file out, Strange pauses at the window. He looks up at the burning crack in the sky. For a moment, he feels something gaze back from the dark beyond. A cold, alien mind that doesn't know mercy or fear. Only growth. In the deepest part of space, wrapped in the broken Kree ship, the Xenomorph Queen shudders. She feels her new hybrid child tear through the station above Earth. She tastes the magic that tried to cut her nest. She gathers more stolen energy around herself and begins to shape another offspring, larger and smarter. This one she shapes with a hint of human outline. Long limbs, a twisted, stretched skull, space stone light pulsing under the black skin. It will be her fist in the realm of broken portals. It will hunt the minds that dared to push her children back. In the sanctum, a candle goes out with no breeze. Wong looks up. Did you feel that? He asks. Strange nods. She is not just sending drones anymore, he says. She is making a champion. His fingers curl around the eye of Agamotto, even though the stone is gone. Old habits of seeking wisdom rise in him. Outside, in the skies over New York and Wakanda, the night is briefly calm. Above that calm, the crack in the sky glows. Beneath it, people rest. In hospitals that did not fall, in tents that did not burn. For one short night, the world breathes. The calm will not last, but for now, the heroes have won their first true victory. They have saved a hospital and a city. They have drawn lines in blood and oath about what they will and will not do. And somewhere in the dark, a new foe is already learning how to break those lines. Up to now, the Avengers have held the line on Earth. They saved a hospital, slowed the spread, and learned the hive can adapt. Now the Queen is making new monsters that bend space and twist rules. If the team stays on defense, the world will drown in nests. So they plan to strike first. In the helicarrier war room, the lights are dim. A hologram of Earth spins slowly over the table. Red marks show past nests, tiny blue circles show cleared zones. Above it all, a jagged purple scar marks the main portal over New York. Fury stands beside the globe. Banner, Tony, Steve, Natasha, Thor and Wong watch. Shuri and T'Challa appear on nearby screens from Wakanda. Doctor Strange leans on his staff, still pale from the hospital operation. The air feels heavy. Banner points at the purple scar. This is her main tunnel, he says. Everything we saw at the hospital came from this path. Eggs, drones, resin. Behind it is the Queen, stuck in that broken Kree ship. Her goal is simple. She wants hosts. She wants biomass. She wants to turn Earth into a single living nest. Shuri zooms the image out. A ghostly ship appears beyond the portal. Twisted beams, jagged metal, huge caverns packed with eggs. We scanned the energy signature when Strange pulled that sewer chunk, she says. It matches this wreck. A Kree cruiser that vanished years ago. The Queen is welded to its hull. Standard counters fail because she learns, Banner adds. Yesterday she only had claws and acid. Today she has hybrids that bend our shields and weapons. Tomorrow she could be breeding xenomorphs tuned to magic or vibranium. Every time we hit her, she gets smarter. She wants us to fight her on our turf until we are out of tricks. Steve crosses his arms. So there's no holding pattern, he says. No stable front line. Banner nods. This isn't a war we can just contain, he says. It's like cancer. It either spreads or gets cut out, no middle ground. Strange straightens. I can trace her mind through the tunnel, he says. I touched it when we carved out the hospital nest. There is a central pulse, a knot of thoughts. That is the Queen. That is where we must strike. Wong frowns. But she has changed her defences, he says. The hybrid on the station shows that. She is building guardians that can twist the same energy we use to walk the path. He looks at Tony. Magic alone is not enough. Tech alone is not enough. We will need both. Tony flicks his fingers. A new image appears. A long, glowing corridor of hexagons like a tunnel made of light. This is the Strange Stark Special, he says. A guided corridor cut through the portal. Mystic walls, tech anchors. We tune it to one target, the Queen's Nest. We send drones first. If the corridor holds, we send a small team. Thor grins faintly. A strike force, he says. To cut out the heart of the beast. He rolls his shoulders. This I understand. Hill points at the glowing corridor. And what keeps the Queen from sending her new pets down that same path into our sanctums or HQ, she asks. Tony's smile fades a bit. 3 layers, he says. 1, Strange shapes the path so it runs through a tight channel like a straw in a river, not a full open gate. 2, Stark anchors, beacons at fixed points so the path doesn't drift. 3, SHIELD kill switches. If anything breaks rules, we shut the whole thing down and collapse it. Strange nods slowly. It's still a risk, he says. Every cut in space is. But if we try to reach her by opening a wide gate, she will pour through with the full hive. That would end your planet in hours. T'Challa speaks from his screen. Who goes on this first walk? He asks. Because this is not a job for many. Too many feet will break the line. Steve answers without hesitation. A small team, he says. Stealth as much as force. Strange to shape the path. Stark for tech. Thor for hard hits. Banner as Hulk for close support. Natasha for eyes and tactics. I go to keep us together. Black Panther joins if Wakanda can spare him. Shuri nods firmly. He will go, she says. I will send sonic gear tuned for those nests. Compact, strong, and fit for your belts and gauntlets. Okoye steps into frame beside her. We will hold Wakanda, Okoye says. You take our king and bring him back, with the Queen's head, if possible. There is a small, grim smile around the room. No one thinks this will be easy, but the path in front of them is clear. Fury steps forward. Here's the tactical truth, he says. We can't win this by just saving blocks and hospitals. We have to hit the Queen. Standard weapons fail because she outbreeds them. Standard magic fails because she adapts. So we combine them, pick a narrow path, and accept that this may hurt more than we like. He looks at Strange. You sure you're ready? Strange meets his eye. No, he says honestly, but I'm the one who can see the way. If we wait for perfect, your cities will be eggs. He lifts his hands. Let's walk. Hours later, the small strike team stands in a wide stone chamber under the New York Sanctum. Candles burn in a circle. Mystic symbols glow on the floor in blue and gold. Tony's nano armor is locked on. Cap's shield gleams. Thor twirls his hammer once, then stills. Black Widow checks Shuri's compact sonic discs on her belt. Black Panther flexes his claws, his suit, humming softly. Bruce Banner stands in loose clothes, breathing slowly, holding his inner line. Strange and Wong move around them, drawing last lines of power. Above, the portal scar burns like a wound in the sky. Down here, the air feels thick. Strange's fingers tingle. He can feel the Queen's mind like a distant drum. Hungry, curious, aware. Wong puts a hand on his shoulder. Remember your vows, Wong says quietly. We protect this reality. We do not rewrite it. Strange nods. I know, he says, but to reach her, I have to step closer to the edge than ever before. He looks at the others. If something feels wrong, you tell me. If the walls twist, stay close. If the corridor starts to crack, we pull back. No hero plays. Tony snorts softly. We're all heroes, he says. Kind of the problem. But yeah, we'll call you. Strange breathes out once. Then he raises his hands and starts to draw. A circle of golden light opens in front of them. But this one is different from his usual portals. Instead of a flat ring, it stretches forward into a tunnel. Segments of light snap into place like bones. The corridor grows, long and narrow, disappearing into black. Tony taps a wrist control. Small, Stark drones float ahead into the tunnel, lights flashing. Their feeds appear on holoscreens in the air. For now, the corridor is empty, just glowing walls and distant, dark. Corridor is stable, FRIDAY reports to everyone's earpieces. Anchor beacons are holding. Space drift within safe limits. Strange nods. Let's move, Steve says. He steps into the tunnel first, shield ready. One by one, the team follows. Strange and Wong bring up the rear, hands always in motion, keeping the walls from bending. Inside, the corridor hums. The air feels heavy and thin at the same time. Distant stars flash outside its walls like slow lightning. Every footstep echoes. The Stark drones glide ahead, little silver fish in a river of light. On the helicarrier, Hill watches their progress on a screen. Lines of data scroll by. Energy levels, heartbeats. Shuri watches too from Wakanda, fingers flying over her table. Path looks clean so far, she says, but their target is not going to stay polite. Halfway down the corridor, the mood changes. The drone's lights flicker. On the screens, points of darkness appear ahead. Not empty space, but true absence. Something's distorting the field, FRIDAY says. Strange, I'm seeing weird phase flux. Strange feels it before she finishes. The Queen's mind presses against the corridor, then pulls back as if in fear. Then something else slides in. The space ahead twists, the tunnel bulges outward, then snaps back. From the distance, a shape slowly walks toward them. Black, tall, wrong. It is a xenomorph, but taller and more human-shaped. Long limbs, curved claws, long tail. Where its chest should be, blue energy. Pulses in slow waves. Lines of warped light run up its spine. Its smooth head is crowned with faint glowing cracks. Tony's HUD runs tests. Hybrid signature confirmed, he says. This must be our new class. Call it Antagonist A or Spacebug, whatever you like. The creature tilts its head, as if listening. The walls around it ripple. One Stark drone tries to move aside. It suddenly flies straight into the wall and vanishes. Another drone's light bends away from it, shining backward. Arcs of light slide over the hybrid's skin and twist off at odd angles. It bends the corridor, Strange says. Not just gravity, the very path we walk. He feels the magic lines shudder under his hands. Steve raises his shield. Everyone close ranks, he says. Simple strikes, no crazy tricks. We don't know what it can throw back at us. Thor steps forward, hammer raised. Creature, he calls, we have seen your queen's hunger. Turn back and maybe we grant you a quick death. Advance and we break you for the sake of this world. The hybrid does not answer. Its inner jaws slide out once, tasting the air. In an instant, the corridor becomes a war zone. Thor hurls his hammer. Normally it flies in a straight line and never misses. Here, it curves. The hammer swings wide, circling the hybrid like a slow comet, then slams into the wall. The impact shakes the whole corridor. Hulk roars and leaps, but his jump bends. He lands short between the hybrid and the others, body sliding sideways on the warped floor. He slams into a wall, leaving a deep dent. Hulk hates twisty tunnel, he roars. Iron Man fires a repulsor blast. The beam bends off to the left, then arcs behind them and hits the corridor floor. The blast drains into the tunnel walls, making them flare brighter. Okay, energy attacks are a very bad idea, Tony says. Note taken. Black Panther darts forward, moving in quick, sharp steps. He does not leap. He does not throw. He runs low and close, claws ready. The hybrid's tail whips at him. The tail's path bends too, but close range saves him. It still slices across his shoulder, sparks flying as it hits vibranium. Panther slashes back, his claws scraping the hybrid's chest. Blue light flares under the black shell. Acid spits, but some splashes onto the warped floor and floats away in little green balls. Natasha rolls under a stray acid drop. She flings 2 of Shuri's sonic discs at the hybrid's feet. They stick and pulse. A sharp, painful sound fills the corridor. The hybrid staggers, legs trembling. Spider-Man clings to the ceiling. His spider sense is wild, pulling in every direction. Everything feels wrong, he says, like the whole place is lying to me. He fires webbing at the hybrid's shoulder, but the line bends and sticks to the wall instead. Strange steps forward. This fight is inside my spell, he says. I have to lock parts of the corridor down. He slams his staff into the floor. Golden sigils bloom along the walls. For a moment, the warping slows. Thor's hammer pulls free from the wall and returns to his hand in a straight line. Hulk's next step lands where he expects it. Now! Steve shouts. He charges, shield up. The hybrid hisses and rushes to meet him. The impact is like two cars crashing. Steve's shield meets the creature's claws. The corridor shakes. Steve slides backward, but holds. The hybrid's claws leave glowing scratches on the vibranium. Hulk barrels into its side. This time the path holds. He slams the hybrid into the wall and pounds its chest with huge fists. Each blow makes the blue lines under its shell flicker. Green acid sprays hissing against Hulk's skin. He howls as new burns open, but he does not let go. He pins the hybrid in place. "Bug, stay still!" he shouts. Black Widow throws another pair of sonic discs at the hybrid's head. They detonate with a sharp pulse. The hybrid shrieks, inner jaws flailing. Its warping field flickers. Black Panther leaps in, claws glowing as his suit releases stored energy. He slashes across its throat and chest in a blazing cross. Cracks appear in the armored shell. Blue and green fluids spill out. The hybrid thrashes. Its tail lashes again and again. One strike hits Thor's arm and sends his hammer spinning away. Another cuts across Tony's leg, scraping armor but not breaking it. Then in one smooth, horrifying motion, it twists free of Hulk's grip. It moves faster now. The warping returns in sharp pulses. Strange feels the corridor twist around it. Before he can reinforce the walls, the hybrid is on him. It closes the distance in a blink. One moment it is 6 meters away. The next it is right in front of him. Strange raises a shield of light. The claws pass through it as if it is smoke. The hybrid's hand hits his chest. Claws crack bone and enchantments. Blue energy floods into him. He feels the Space Stone's broken echo and the Queen's mind at the same time. Pain explodes through his ribs. His vision fills with eggs and dark tunnels. He hears 1,000 hisses and one slow, deep breath. The Queen looks through him, not with eyes, but with pure will. He screams. The others move as one. Steve slams his shield into the hybrid's side. Thor brings his hammer down on its skull with a roar. Hulk grabs its tail and yanks it back. Black Panther slashes its legs out from under it. The hybrid falls. Thor's second blow crushes its neck. Acid and blue light burst out. Strange's shield finally catches, holding back the worst spray. The hybrid lies still, body twitching, warping field fading. Strange collapses to one knee. His chest armor is shredded. Underneath, his robes are cut. The wound glows faint blue and sickly green. Lines of color crawl under his skin. Codex note: space warp. Xenomorph claws can imprint hive signal and stone-tainted energy directly into living nerves, fusing biology with unstable portal echoes. "Stephen!" Wong shouts from the rear. He rushes forward and presses glowing hands over the wound. Strange gasps, teeth clenched. Sweat runs down his face. Tony kneels beside them. Vitals are dropping, Friday says. Strange's heart rhythm is weird. I'm seeing double patterns, human and something else. Blue flashes light up his chest on Tony's scan. Strange grabs Wong's arm. "Don't push it out," he gasps. "Not here. If you force it free inside the corridor, it could tear the path itself." He looks at Steve with wild eyes. "We have to go back, now." The tunnel shudders. Far ahead, a roar echoes down the light path. Not Hulk's roar, a deeper one. The Queen has felt the death of her guard. Walls bulge and narrow. Stars outside twist into sharp spirals. Cracks appear in the corridor edges, showing raw, dark space beyond. The safe straw is starting to fray. Steve looks at the others. "We've got our data," he says. "We've seen the Queen's Guardian and Strange's hit. Mission shift. We retreat." He looks at Strange. "Can you hold the way back?" Strange's hands shake. The wound throbs with blue light. Hive whispers scrape at the back of his mind. "Kill, grow, spread. Take this path. Make it nest." He shuts his eyes and clamps down. "I can hold it," he says. "But I will need help. Wong with me. Everyone else move." Thor grabs Hulk's arm and pulls him back. "Come, friend," he says. "We will have more chances to smash." Hulk growls, but obeys. Black Panther and Black Widow fall in around Strange and Wong, guarding their flanks. Spider-Man sticks close to the ceiling above them, watching for new distortions. Tony flies backward, repulsors low, careful not to fire at the walls. Steve walks at the front, shield ready. The corridor shakes again. Bits of light flake from the walls and spin into the void. Strange and Wong chant in unison, weaving new supports. Every word feels harder. The hive in Strange's chest pushes back. The Queen feels his spell work. She recognizes the taste of the man who cut her nest. Now she has a piece of him inside her reach. She tugs. A sudden surge pulls backward. Everyone stumbles. Steve slams his shield into the floor to stop himself from sliding. Spider-Man fires webs into the ceiling, holding others from slipping away. Hulk digs his fingers into the light itself, leaving deep dents. "Almost there!" Tony shouts. "Sanctum signal dead ahead. Portals anchoring. Just a little more, wizards." His HUD shows the exit ring forming in front of them. Strange feels his heart stutter. The blue-green glow pulses. For a moment he sees through the Queen's senses. Dark, wet, egg fields, and far away tiny bright lines of magic cutting a path. He also sees something else. Far beyond, above the whole scene, 3 cold faces watching. Not human, not xenomorph. They watch the corridor twist. They watch him, and the Queen, and the thinning walls of reality. He shudders. Then they are through. The team spills back into the Sanctum chamber. The corridor collapses behind them with a sharp crack of air. Candles go out. Stone shakes. The portal ring shrinks to nothing. Strange falls to the floor. Wong catches his head before it hits. Tony and Banner rush to his side. The others fan out, checking to make sure nothing followed. The wound in Strange's chest pulses once. Blue light flashes under his skin, then fades to a dull, sickly glow. His breathing is ragged, his eyes open. For a moment they are wrong. Not human eyes, dark, reflecting no light. He blinks, and they are normal again. He sees faces leaning over him. Steve, Tony, Wong, Banner, Natasha, Thor, Panther. "I'm still me," he whispers. "For now." Then he passes out. In the infirmary, deep in the sanctum, Strange lies on a bed of carved stone. Mystic wards circle the room. Medical monitors from Stark hum beside them. Banner, Wong, Shuri, through a screen, and Tony stand around him, studying projections of his wound. On the main display, a glowing map of Strange's chest shows nerves and veins. Blue-green lines worm through them like tiny rivers. They cluster around his heart and spine. Occasional sparks show where they flare against his natural magic pathways. "It fused with him," Banner says. "The hybrid's claws injected a mix of bioacid, xenomorph cells, and warped space stone energy. It's not just a cut, it's a graft. A living, shifting graft." Shuri tilts her head. "We could try to cut it out with a focused vibranium pulse," she says. "Like burning a parasite, but we risk snapping nerves. He might lose the use of his hands, or his magic, or his heart." Tony rubs his face. "I've seen implants and shrapnel move," he says. "This isn't movement. This is more like roots growing deeper when you poke them. Every time his magic flares, this stuff wakes up and spreads a bit." Wong folds his arms. "From a mystic view, it is a brand," he says. "A mark of the Queen. Her hive signal rides these lines. Through him she can taste our spells, maybe even the edges of our reality." Steve watches, jaw tight. "So he's a spy in both directions," he says. "She can see into us. We could see into her, if we chose to use it." The last words hang in the air. They all think the same thing. If Strange leans into the connection, he could see more. He could map her nests, predict her moves, feel where her hybrids gather. He could guide portals with perfect aim, seeing the hive's plan before it happens. He could save lives. He could also lose himself. Strange wakes slowly. His chest burns. The ceiling above him is carved with ancient symbols. He feels a hum in his bones. When he breathes in, he feels air in the sanctum. When he breathes out, he feels thick, wet air far away. Every heartbeat echoes in 2 places. His blood, the hive's slime. He sits up halfway. Wong is there at once, steadying him. "What happened?" Strange asks, though he remembers. "The hybrid struck you," Wong says. "You struck back, we killed it, but its mark remains." Strange looks at the glowing map of his chest. He sees the blue-green lines. He can feel them. "Can I use it?" he asks softly. Tony looks over. "You shouldn't," he says. "That's not the question," Strange replies. "The question is, can I?" His eyes are tired but sharp. Banner answers slowly. "Probably," he says. "If you leaned into the connection, if you let your mind follow those threads, you could see more of the hive, maybe even steer some of the portal energy. But the more you use it, the more it will grow. At some point, it might not let go." Wong's voice is firm. You vowed to protect this reality, not weld yourself to a devouring nest, he says. This path smells of corruption, of heresy. There are lines we do not cross. Shuri adds from the screen, we also don't fully understand what this will do to the Space Stone echoes. The more we stir them, the more they might wake up old forces. Dangerous ones. She glances aside, as if feeling something in Wakanda's own history. We have seen what happens when a stone's power runs wild. Steve steps closer to Strange's bed. Stephen, he says, you don't have to do this. We'll find another way. We always do. His voice is gentle but firm. Strange looks at him. Do we? He asks. People are already dying in those ringed zones. The hive learns faster every day. If I can see the Queen's next moves, I can close portals before they open. I can steer her away from cities. I can save thousands, maybe more. Banner's face is pained. That's the temptation, he says. You can save more if you break this rule. I know it well. I've heard it every time someone wants to use the Hulk to solve a problem. It never ends the way they think. Natasha leans against the wall, arms crossed. You're not the only one who could carry a mark, she says. I have ghosts all over my record. Every time we used monsters to fight monsters, it came back on us. In red. On people's names. Strange looks down at his hands. They tremble slightly. The blue-green lines under his skin pulse once. He feels the Queen's hunger at the edge of his mind. He also feels the weight of every life still at risk. What if this is the only way? He whispers. What if the only way to stop her is to understand her from the inside? Wong's tone softens, but stays strong. Then we will fail with clean hands, he says. We will stand before whatever judge comes and say, we did not become what we fought. That matters. Even if no one else sees it, it matters. Strange closes his eyes. In the dark behind them, he sees the Queen's nest. Eggs, dark tunnels, a huge sleeping shape wrapped around a cracked cube, and far above again those three watching faces. He hears a voice that is not quite a voice, cold, balanced. You twist the stone scars too far, it says, not in words but in meaning. The scales of this reality tilt. He opens his eyes again. I won't use it, he says finally. At least not like that. Not as a tool, not as a bridge I choose. If I follow it, I will lose myself. And maybe worse. Tony lets out a breath he did not know he was holding. Okay, he says. We play this the harder way. Smart tech, clean spells, sonic weapons, no hive spying. But his eyes are worried. Wong nods once. Then we must bind it. He says, we cannot cut it out yet, but we can chain it, limit its reach. It will hurt, and it will make you weaker, Stephen. Strange nods. Do it, he says. Better a weaker wizard than a puppet queen. The binding ritual is brutal. Strange sits in the center of a circle of runes. Candles burn in 3 rings around him. Wong chants old words, drawing red-gold bands of light. Banner handles the monitors, watching Strange's heart. Tony stands ready with an emergency arc device in case things go very wrong. The bands of light sink into Strange's chest. They wrap around the blue-green lines and tighten. The hive's whispers rise in his head, louder than ever. Images flash past, cities drowned in resin, stars turned into egg fields, Earth as a husk. He feels his own magic pathways twist as the bands clamp down. Some circuits close, some channels dim. His power shrinks to a smaller, tighter pool. He grits his teeth and does not scream. Outside, the crack in the sky flares once, then dims. In Wakanda, Shuri's instruments twitch. In the helicarrier, energy readings spike then drop. Something in the hive signal has changed. When the ritual ends, Strange slumps forward. Sweat drips onto the stone. The glow in his chest is dimmer now, but still there. A chained fire. How bad? He asks, voice hoarse. Wong answers, honest as always. You have less reach, he says. Your spells will be slower, your senses shorter. You will not touch certain dimensions for some time, but the hive's grip on your mind is smaller. It can still send whispers. It cannot drag you as easily. Banner checks his screens. The energy in your nerves is stable, he says. Contained. For now, we'll need to watch for flares. Stress, big spells, or strong hive events could wake it up. As if summoned by the words, sirens sound upstairs. Hill calls in over the comms. "New nest breakout," she says. "Sector 12, near the quarantine ring. We didn't see this one coming. Looks like they tunneled under our scans. Multiple casualties already." Strange closes his eyes. If he had used the connection, he might have felt that. He might have seen the nest growing underground. He might have saved those lives. Now he cannot. The price of refusal is real. Steve hears the report from a nearby room. He glances toward the infirmary, then back at the holomap. "Natasha, Falcon, Panther, you're on that nest," he says. "Take sonic gear and containment foam, no wide fire. There are still people alive near there." They move without question. Tony looks toward the stairs. "Strange," he calls softly through the open door. "This wasn't on you. We didn't see it because the hive got smarter, not because you got weaker." Strange says nothing. Wong sees the guilt in his face. "Every path has a cost," Wong says. "You chose the one where you stay yourself. Some deaths will come from that choice. Others would have come from the other path. We cannot count them all. We can only act with clean hearts." Later that night, Strange meditates alone in the Sanctum's upper hall. The city's lights shine outside. The crack in the sky burns above the river. He sits cross-legged, trying to breathe past the pain. In his mind, he walks a narrow bridge between two worlds. On one side, Earth. On the other, the hive. In the void above, the three faces watch again. Front, right, left. Each shows a different expression. All three are stern. The air shifts. Strange is no longer just in his mind. He stands in a vast dark space filled with stars and lines of light. A huge form looms before him. Three faces on one towering head. Eyes like suns. "Living tribunal," he whispers. He feels small, smaller than dust. The entity's voice is not sound, it is balance. "The scales of this universe tilt toward corruption," it says. "Your world toys with powers that bind reality. Stone echoes, a hive hunger, mystic cuts. The sum grows heavy." Strange's jaw tightens. "We are trying to stop that corruption," he says. "The hive is the one twisting your scales. If we do nothing, Earth dies as a nest. If we do too much, we risk breaking your rules. Tell me how to walk the line." The three faces shift. One seems stern and angry, one looks sorrowful, one is cold and distant. "Choice is yours," the tribunal says. "Judgment is ours." Not very comforting, but honest. "The Queen is using a broken stone device to drill into this reality," Strange says. "Her children now bend magic and tech. If we hit her hard enough to break her, we may also break the stone echoes. If we stay soft, she will spread. I refused her mark's full power. I am weaker now. People have already died because of that. Was I wrong?" The tribunal's central face studies him. "You kept your will," it says. "You did not join the devourer. For that, the scales lean toward mercy. But your struggle with the hive and the stone cannot remain local. Their echoes brush the walls of more than one world." Strange feels a chill. "You mean other dimensions," he says. "Other universes." The tribunal does not deny it. "You will soon stand at a fork," it says. "One path. You fight alone, stretching your world's rules until they snap. Another, you ask higher law for sanction. You bring your case to judgment. You accept limits and aid. You accept cost." Strange swallows. "What happens if we choose wrong?" he asks. The tribunal's three faces answer as one. "If your world breaks the balance too far, we correct it," it says. Correction can mean sealing. It can mean stripping power. It can mean erasure. The word hangs heavy. "Erasure," Strange repeats. "Of Earth? Of this branch," the tribunal says simply. He thinks of New York, of Wakanda, of his friends, of the boy clutching the Captain America toy, of every soul he has sworn to protect. "How do we ask for sanction?" he asks. "Who do we speak to?" The tribunal's outer faces fade, leaving the central one. "You already have," it says. This exchange is noted. You will be called to stand before the seat of balance. Bring those who share your world's burden. Show what you have done. State what you plan to do. We will weigh it. The stars around them flicker. And if we don't come, Strange asks, then we weigh you without your voice, the tribunal says, and our hand will be heavier. The dark space fades. Strange is back in the sanctum, breath sharp, hands shaking. The wound in his chest burns like a coal. He knows what he has to do. The next morning, the War Council meets again. This time, Strange sits at the table with a bandage across his chest. He looks older than he did 2 days ago. Fury studies him. "You look like hell," Fury says. "Did the Queen send you a love letter?" Strange shakes his head. "Not the Queen," he says. "Something above her. I met the living tribunal last night." The room goes quiet. Hill raises an eyebrow. "That the cosmic judge you warned us about?" she asks. "The one who burns whole worlds if they break reality too hard?" Strange nods. "He knows about the hive," Strange says. "He knows about the broken stone device. He knows about my mark. He says our fight is tipping the scales. If we keep hacking at this problem without permission, we might trigger a correction. That could mean sealing our world off, or worse." Banner exhales. "So we don't just have an alien queen to worry about," he says. "We've got the universe's referee watching over our shoulder." He glances at Fury. "We picked the wrong day to get out of bed." T'Challa's image appears, calm but serious. "What does he want from us?" he asks. "Obedience? Surrender?" Strange shakes his head. "He wants us to present our case," he says. "To come before a cosmic seat and explain what we've done and what we plan to do. Then he will set limits, maybe tools, maybe chains." He didn't say which. Natasha leans back. "So, a cosmic court date," she says. We stand there, hands folded, while a giant three-faced being decides if Earth gets to keep breathing. There is no joke in her voice. Steve looks around the table. "If this is real," he says, "then we can't ignore it. If a power like that is ready to erase worlds, we need to be there to argue that this one is worth saving." Fury nods slowly. "And if we don't show, he judges us anyway," he says, "without hearing about the hospital we saved or the people we pulled out of nests, without hearing about the lines we refused to cross." He taps the table. "I don't like being judged, but if it's going to happen, I want a say." Thor speaks, voice steady. "I have heard of the tribunal," he says. "Even on Asgard we spoke of him in low voices. He weighs whole realms, not battles. If he has taken notice, then our little war is now a matter of the cosmos. We cannot pretend it is just an Earth problem any longer." Shuri frowns at her screen. "I do not love the idea of asking permission to fight for our own planet," she says. "But if this judge can also grant tools or limits, maybe this is how we hit the Queen without breaking the stone's echoes. We need rules before we swing bigger hammers." Tony looks at Strange. "And you're sure he was real?" he asks softly. "Not just a side effect of the hybrid venom and some bad cheese?" Strange meets his gaze. "I've seen visions. I've had dreams. This was not that," he says. "This was like standing in front of a law that holds up the sky. If we don't go, we are pretending gravity is optional." Fury looks around the room. "Then that's our next move," he says. Strange takes a team to this cosmic courthouse. We show the judge what we're doing. We ask for a clear mandate. What we can do, what we cannot, what it will cost each time we swing. Hill nods, making notes. "We'll need a small, strong group," she says. "People who can speak for Earth and fight if something goes wrong. We still don't know if this court is friendly, even if it claims to be fair." She glances at Steve. Steve raises his hand a little. "I'll go," he says. "I'm no sorcerer, but I know how to stand in front of power and say no when I need to." He smiles faintly. "And someone should be there to explain regular people to a cosmic judge." Tony sighs. "Fine," he says. "Somebody has to handle the tech slides and charts. I'll go too. Maybe I can talk this thing into giving us some universe-safe toys, or at least not stepping on our planet while we're working." Thor's eyes shine. "As Prince of Asgard, I will go," he says. "If a being weighs realms, then the voice of other realms should be heard. I will speak for those who have already fallen to plagues and tyrants. Their memory must matter in this balance. T'Challa nods. Wakanda will send me, he says. I will speak for those who do not see themselves in capes or crowns, for hidden nations that still bleed when giants walk. Banner hesitates. You don't need a giant green rage monster in a cosmic court, he says. I'll stay here, help Shuri and Hill and the teams on the ground. Someone has to keep watching the hive while you're off at your space trial. Steve nods in agreement. Natasha looks between them. I'll stay too, she says. If something goes wrong in the sky, we'll need very human hands down here. She meets Fury's eye. We'll keep the nests from taking advantage of your little trip. Strange listens to all this, then speaks. This will not be a simple voyage, he says. We will need to cross layers of reality. We'll pass places where the hive's touch and the stone echoes are strong. The Queen may send more warped children after us along the way. My power is not what it was. We will be vulnerable. Wong steps forward. Then I will come, he says. As master of the New York Sanctum, I stand at the edge of our world. If we are to speak to the ones beyond, one of us should be there. And someone must watch over you, Stephen, in case that mark tries to pull you off the path. Fury grunts. So the escort is Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, Black Panther, Strange and Wong, he says. Not a bad squad for a court date. His voice softens a little. While you're gone, we'll hold here, Fury says. We'll keep nests down. We'll keep people alive. You come back with a clear set of rules and maybe a cosmic green light, because the next hit we put on that Queen is going to be big, and I don't want the Sky Judge calling a foul while we swing. Strange feels the weight of all eyes on him. He touches the bandage mark on his chest. It pulses once, like a second heartbeat. He nods. Then, Act 1 was our defense, he says softly. Act 2 was our first strike. Act 3, this wound, was our warning. Now we walk into judgment. He looks up at the crack in the sky on the screen. Next we go to the seat of balance, he says. We ask what we're allowed to do to save this world, and we accept the cost of the answer. The team begins to prepare for the journey. Ships are checked, spells are drawn, medic kits are stocked, quiet goodbyes are said. On the edge of known space, the Xenomorph Queen senses movement at the far end of her tunnel. The path that carried her hybrid guard now shifts, reaching beyond her nest. She doesn't understand cosmic courts or balances. She only feels that some of her prey are leaving the main field. She curls tighter around the cracked cube. Her claws sink into warped metal. She pushes more energy into the stone echo, planning her next move. If her enemies flee upward, she will grow downward, into oceans, into deep rock. Into places no judge looks. The hive whispers grow louder, the crack in the sky brightens, and far above it all, unseen by most, a distant, many-faced gaze waits for the small, bright line of a ship and a spell to rise toward its throne. Up to now, Earth's heroes have fought on their own ground. They cut out nests, they wounded the hive. Doctor Strange carries a mark from the Queen and a warning from the stars. Now they leave their world to stand in front of the highest judge they know. The ship is small by cosmic standards. It is half Stark, half Sanctum. A sleek metal hull wrapped in glowing runes. Engines hum with clean white light. Magic rings spin around them like slow halos. From the outside it looks like a comet with a spine. Inside, the main cabin feels almost quiet. Seats line the walls. Windows show Earth shrinking to a blue marble behind them. Beyond that, space stretches black and endless. Thin bands of magic keep it from feeling like a tomb. Captain America sits by one window, shield resting at his feet. He watches the world he loves slide away. Every city, every farm, every person is down there somewhere. He flexes his hands once, remembering the boy with the toy shield. Thor sits near the front, hammer across his knees. He looks out with a different gaze. He has seen many worlds from this angle. Some burned, some thriving, some gone. Black Panther is calm, back straight, mask off. He watches stars roll past and thinks about Wakanda's shield shining under the crack. His people fight nests while he rides this strange path to a cosmic court. He does not like leaving them, but he knows why he must. Tony stands near a hollow table in the center. A slow cascade of numbers and diagrams float under his hands. Portal drift, hive signal noise, Strange's heart rate. He pretends the data is enough to control what comes next. Strange sits in a medical chair to one side. Sensors circle his chest. Runes glow on the metal around him. The bandage over his wound is clean, but the skin under it burns. He feels the Queen's whispers like distant teeth. Wong stands beside him, one hand on the chair, one on his sling ring. He does not look out the window. He watches Strange. He has done this before, watching a friend walk close to a cliff you cannot see. There is a small medical bay at the rear. Right now it is quiet. Gear hangs on clean racks. Healing tools from Wakanda mix with Stark scanners and mystic crystals. They are prepared for a lot. Maybe not for everything. In a narrow side room, Steve and Strange sit facing each other. The noise of engines is a low hum. For a moment, both men just breathe. Steve breaks the silence. "You okay?" he asks. It is a simple question, but he means more. Strange gives a small, tired smile. "No," he says. "But I'm functional. Pain is there, hive is there. I can still tell the difference between their thoughts and mine. For now." Steve nods. "That mark," he says. "You could use it. You chose not to. And people died in that new nest because you didn't see it coming." He does not say it as an attack. Just truth. Strange looks down at his hands. "I hear them," he says. "Every time a new egg opens, I feel a tug. When that nest broke out, I felt a pressure, like a thought at the edge of vision. I could have leaned in. I could have reached." His jaw tightens. "But if I had," he continues, "the mark would have grown. The Queen would have seen more of us. She might have ridden my magic back here. She might have taken my will. So I chose to stay blind, and people died. That's the cost of the line I drew." Steve studies him. "I've made calls like that too," he says. "Leave one unit to save the rest. Hold a bridge and lose the men on it. Pick one train to rescue when you can't stop both. You remember every face you couldn't save, and you wonder if a little compromise would have fixed it." Strange nods slowly. "Yes," he says. "Exactly." He looks up. "You think I made the right call?" he asks. Steve thinks for a moment. "I think lines matter," Steve says. "If you cross them once, it's easier next time. Just this one hive link, just this one forbidden spell, just this one city we write off. So I respect what you did. You chose to stay yourself, but you don't get to carry that cost alone." Strange's brow furrows. "What do you mean?" he asks. Steve leans back a little. "You're not the only one making calls," he says. "Fury, Banner, Shuri, me, Natasha. We all chose the harder path with you. We all said no to using that mark. Those lives? Their loss isn't just on you. It's on all of us, because we think this world is worth saving without turning you into another monster." Strange lets out a slow breath. He did not realize how tight his chest had been until that moment. "Thank you," he says quietly. He means it. "Just remember something," Steve adds. "Dogma can be a cage. Never break rules no matter what. That can kill too. Your job is to know which rules are there to keep you human and which ones are just fear dressed as wisdom. That's not easy. No cosmic judge can do that for you." Strange smiles a little. "And your job?" he asks. Steve looks out at the stars. "My job is to remind you who you wanted to be before the war started," he says. "Even when the war gets bigger than anything we understand." In the main cabin, Tony and Thor argue over a glowing map of the path ahead. Lines of magic and tech overlap. Points shine like stars. "The tribunal's seat is not in any normal space," Strange had said when they left. "Think of it as a concept given form. Law turned into a place. We have to walk up layers of reality to reach it. Each layer has its own rules." Now Tony points at a ring on the map. "This is where the physics starts to get weird," he says. "Beyond here, my normal engines don't do much. We ride on the spell. I can stabilize a bit. But if magic fails, we fall hard." Thor taps another mark. "And here?" he asks. "Here we cross near the dark dimension," Wong says, stepping up. "A place we try not to visit. Its creatures like to hook onto any passing power and drag it down. We will pass quickly. No casting, no heavy tech spikes, no shouting at the sky." Tony raises an eyebrow. "Shouting?" he asks. Wong stares at him. You would be surprised what answers when certain people shout, Wong says. Thor clears his throat. Is this meant at me? He asks, because I have only called down doom on our enemies a few times. Tony gives him a look. Yeah, let's keep your thunder inside the ship until we're past the demon neighborhoods, he says. Black Panther listens, then speaks. So this voyage is as much about not doing things as doing them, he says. We move fast, but we hold back power where the walls are thin. That is unusual for us. Wong nods. Control is part of the weapon now, he says. Not just force. The tribunal will judge that too. Hours pass. Earth becomes a bright star behind them. They cross void that feels emptier than any space Tony has flown. Sometimes they pass places where reality looks fractured. Floating rocks, light that moves sideways, distant shapes that might be ruined worlds. In the medical bay, Strange lies still while Wong checks his wound. The blue-green glow is faint. Lines of red-gold binding hold it like a net. Any new whispers? Wong asks. Always, Strange says. Quieter now, but they're clever. They change shape. One moment they're hisses, the next they sound like voices I trust. He closes his eyes. Once it used your voice, Strange says. Offered me a clean, perfect spell to stop all portals forever. All I had to do was let it guide my hand. He shivers. Wong's face tightens. This is why we bind marks like that, he says. Not just to hold them in place, to remind the bearer which voice is theirs. He presses his hand gently to Strange's shoulder. Remember your motto, Wong says. Strange opens one eye. Which one? He asks. I collect too many. Wong almost smiles. The one you said when you first put on the cloak, he says. We save lives. We do not rule them. Strange nods slowly. Yes, he says. I remember. In another quiet room, Thor and T'Challa share a moment. Stars roll past the small window. Thor leans against the wall, arms folded. T'Challa sits, fingers steepled. In Asgardian tales, we went to many thrones, Thor says, to ask for favours, to demand justice. Some judges were fair, some were cruel. All like to hear their own voices. He glances at T'Challa. What do your stories say about judges? He asks. T'Challa considers. In Wakanda, we honour the kings and queens who did not let power blind them, he says. Those who listened to even the smallest voices. We call them wise. The ones who saw only themselves, we call by name, in warnings. He looks Thor in the eye. What happens if this tribunal is wise but distant? T'Challa asks. Knows the weight of stars but does not know the feel of a child's hand in yours? Whose law do we follow then? His, or the one we made with our people? Thor looks out the window. Then we do as we have always done, he says. We listen. We bow where we must. And when the law of the sky says to throw our people into the fire, we refuse, even if the cost is high. He chuckles once without humour. I have defied my father's orders more than once, he says. Defying a three-faced god will be new, but not impossible. T'Challa nods. Then we are agreed, he says. We seek sanction, not chains. If what they ask of us breaks who we are, we walk away, even if they call that heresy. Halfway to the tribunal's realm, the ship begins to shake. At first it is light, a small tremor under their feet. Tony checks readouts. Grav drift, he says. We're crossing near that dark dimension fringe. Hold steady! Then the shaking grows. The lights flicker. Runes on the hull flare and dim. Outside the windows, space is no longer black. It is purple and green and wrong. Shapes move in the dark. Long limbs, many eyes. They do not come close, but they watch. Do not look too long, Wong warns. Some of them look back. Thor grips his hammer tighter. The ship passes through a thin curtain of light. On one side, stars. On the other, a strange, grey fog. In-between layer, Strange says, forcing himself to stand. We are close. Then something hits them. The impact is not like a rock. It is like a thought with claws. The ship lurches sideways, magic rings screech. Tony is thrown against a wall, alarms blare. Unknown field distortion, FRIDAY calls. Something has latched onto the spell shell, not from outside, from the in-between. The air in the centre of the cabin ripples. A dark spot appears, not a hole exactly. More like a place where reality forgot what to be. From that spot, something steps out. It is shaped like a man, but wrong. Tall, thin, cloak of shadow, hands too long. Where its head should be, there is a smooth black skull. No eyes, no mouth, just faint glowing cracks like Strange's wound. The cloak of levitation flutters and goes still. It does not move to Strange's shoulders. It hangs in the air, confused. The thing wears a warped version of Strange's old tunic. Symbols twist and slither over its chest. Its fingers end in claw-like tips. Blue-green light pulses under its skin. When it tilts its head, you can almost see Strange's profile in the shape. Everyone in the cabin freezes. Strange feels his stomach drop. That is me, he whispers, or what I could become. Mirapho B has arrived. Tony raises a hand, repulsor ready. Strange throws his arm out. No energy shots, he snaps. Not yet. We don't know what it bends. The twisted figure speaks. Its voice is Strange's voice, layered with hisses and echoes. You came to the seat of balance, it says. Good. That is where all paths meet. Wong steps forward, staff in hand. What are you? He demands. The mirror smiles, though it has no mouth. I am Sorcerer Prime of the Hive, it says. I am the choice you refused, Strange. The branch where you used the mark, where you saw every nest, where you guided portals with perfect accuracy. I saved worlds. I saved so many. Until I didn't. Strange's hands shake. Is this some trick from the Queen? He asks. A fake, made from my fears. The mirror tilts its head. Partly, it says. The Queen shaped me from your mark, but the path I show is real. In some nearby, maybe, you chose differently. You became me. You bent reality and hive both to your will. For a time. Steve steps between them, shield up. Why are you here? He asks. What do you want? The mirror's non-face turns toward him. To warn, it says, and to tempt. I am her champion in the realm of rules. I offer you a shortcut. Let Strange use his mark. Let him see every egg and tunnel. Let him guide your blows. You will save billions that way. You will also corrupt everything you touch. Tony snorts. Great sales pitch, he says. Use me and doom yourself, but hey, lots of people live a little longer. You need a better ad team. Thor steps forward, eyes narrow. This is a twisted reflection, he says. In the old stories, such spirits came to heroes on journeys. They offered easy roads. Those roads always ended in chains. The mirror lifts a hand. The runes on the ship's walls flare. The hull groans. Outside, the grey fog curls tighter. You are already in chains, the mirror says softly. Chained by your fear of breaking rules. Chained by a judge who weighs you like a number. I broke those chains. I used every tool. For a while I won, until the tribunal balanced me. Strange feels the mark in his chest burn hot. Images flash through his mind. A version of himself. Eyes dark, pulling strings of light that connect every hive. Cities saved. Portals closed in time, nests burned before they grew. Then later, that same version standing alone on a dead world. Everything silent, no people, only marks like his crawling over the sky. Static judges looking down. Then, erasure. The mirror steps closer. You cannot reach the seat of balance without me, it says. The path twists around stone scars. I can guide you through. In return, you open yourself to the hive. You let me ride in your mind. We become one. You become enough to win quickly. Wong's grip tightens on his staff. That is possession, he says. Heresy of the worst kind. The mirror shrugs. Heresy to whom? It asks. To a tribunal that will erase you if you lose. To a queen that will eat you if you hesitate. Heresy is just what the winners call the choices they regret not making. Strange stands. Pain shoots through his chest. The mark pulses. He feels pulled in two directions. Toward the mirror, toward the memory of the tribunal's cold gaze. He remembers Wong's words. We save lives. We do not rule them. He remembers Steve's. Lines matter. The ship shakes harder. Panels crack. Reality outside glows brighter. Time feels thin. Tony whispers, "We're not going to hold this shell much longer. Whatever this thing is, it's ripping through my stabilizers." Steve looks at Strange. "This is your fight," he says quietly. "What do you want to be?" Strange meets the mirror's blank face. "I want to be someone who can look back and say, I did not become the monster I was trying to stop," he says. "Even if it costs us, even if it hurts, even if it means we walk into that court weaker than we could be." The mirror's voice lowers. "Then you will lose more," it says. "You will watch nests take cities you could have saved. You will carry their screams in your bones. And when the tribunal erases you, you will wonder if you wasted your chance." Strange's hands glow, but the light is small and tight. "No," he says. "I will know I chose who I am. That is something no queen and no judge can take." He lifts his hands higher. Red gold chains of light leap from his fingers and wrap around the mirror's arms. The mark in his chest howls. So does the mirror. The ship's cabin becomes a storm of magic and warped space. Thor steps in, hammer raised. He brings it down with a cry. Lightning explodes, but Strange drags the bolt into his chains, not into the mirror's body. The chains glow brighter, binding the reflection tighter. Tony jumps in with Stark tech that does not fire beams. He flings compact non-energy clamps that snap onto the floor and emit solid force fields. They box in the mirror, not with light, but with thick, vibrating air. "Physical cages!" he shouts. "Less for it to bend!" Black Panther moves like a shadow. He doesn't attack the mirror directly. He strikes at the ripples in space around it, claws cutting unseen threads. Each slice makes the warping sputter. The ship steadies a little. Wong chants. His words are sharp and ancient. They sound like laws. The mirror's steps slow. It struggles, but every move pulls Strange's chains tighter. The mark in Strange's chest feels like hot nails. Voices scream in his mind. Hive, mirror, fear. He tastes iron. The mirror lunges one last time. It stretches towards Strange, fingers like knives. "Think of the lives," it cries. "Think of the children in nests right now. Think of the ones you could still save if you let me." A light slams into the cabin. It is not lightning, not magic, not tech. It is a beam of pure white gold judgment that fills every space. For 1 second, everyone is frozen. The mirror screams, its body fractures into shards of dark glass. They hang in the air, each showing a different terrible future. Then they melt into nothing. The ship stops shaking. The fog outside clears. Ahead, a huge shape appears. A voice fills their minds. Three-toned, impossible to ignore. "Enough," the living tribunal says. "You approach the seat of balance. You will not bargain with shadowed echoes on the threshold. Reach the throne." The light fades. The cabin is left in silence. Strange collapses to his knees, gasping. Wong catches him. The mark in his chest dims but does not vanish. Steve looks up, chest heaving. "So that was our sign," he says. "Clear enough for me." The ship passes into a different kind of space. There are no stars here, no planets, no dust. Just a vast dark sea with a faint golden glow, as if lit from underneath by a hidden sun. In the centre of the sea rises a structure. It is not quite a tower and not quite a mountain. It is a stack of platforms and rings, each one turning slowly. On each ring, statues or beings stand in silent rows. Some look like heroes, some like monsters. Some are shapes the mind cannot hold. At the top of it all is a wide, flat platform. Floating above it is the three-faced form Strange saw in his vision. Tall as a small moon, robes of starlight, 3 heads on one massive neck, one face stern, one sorrowful, one blank. Around the base of the structure float other beings. Tall, robed watchers, armoured giants, silhouettes with no clear form. They are the guards and scribes of this place. The ship slows, runes dim, engines fall silent. Something unseen takes hold and guides them to a landing on a wide, empty terrace. As they touch down, everyone feels it. Their powers go quiet. Thor tries to call lightning. Nothing answers. Tony checks his repulsors. They hum, but weakly. Strange reaches for the usual well of magic. It is there, but lower, like a pond after drought. Neo-Guardians stand at the edge of the terrace. They carry staffs that shimmer with balanced light. Their faces are covered. Their voices are in every mind at once, calm and clear. You stand at the seat of balance, they say. Here, no power may roar unchecked. Here, all strengths are evened, all voices weighed. Do you come as conquerors, beggars, or witnesses? Steve steps forward. Witnesses, he says, and protectors. We came to show what is happening in our world. We came to ask how far we can go to stop it without breaking everything else. The guards bow slightly. Then you may climb, they say. Leave heavy tools behind. Bring only your names and your truths. Tony mutters under his breath. Always wanted to be stripped to my truth in front of a cosmic court, he says. Great for the nerves. But he powers down most of his armor systems anyway. Thor leaves his hammer on the ship ramp. It hangs there in the thin air, as if waiting. Black Panther steps forward with no visible weapon. His suit clings to him, but it feels quieter here, its hum lower. Wong carries only his sling ring and staff. Strange walks barehanded, cloak settling on his shoulders at last. They climb. Each level they pass shows different scenes. On one ring, statues of known heroes stand frozen mid-battle. On another, ghosts of whole worlds flicker. Some are bright and whole. Others are broken, half erased. On one far platform, a shape that might once have been Asgard glows faint and distant. Thor's jaw tightens. He keeps walking. On another level, they see shadow forms of beings arguing. Each is judged by a small scale that floats before them. Sometimes the scale tips toward light, sometimes toward dark. Sometimes it stays level and the figure simply fades away. Finally, they reach the top. The platform is a wide, smooth disc of grey gold stone. At its centre, a circle of lines marks a speaking point. Above that point hovers the vast form of the living tribunal. Up close, the sheer size of it is crushing. Each face is as big as a city. Its eyes hold worlds in their depths. But its presence is not just size, it is weight. Like standing under a mountain that decides whether or not to fall. The heroes step into the marked circle. They stand shoulder to shoulder. Captain America at the front, Strange and Wong slightly behind, Tony and T'Challa to the sides, Thor a solid pillar at the back. No one speaks at first. They wait. The tribunal's central face opens its eyes. The universe seems to blink with it. Earth 616 and its adjacent branches, it says. Representatives. Identified. Sorcerer Supreme, Soldier of Time, Prince of a Fallen Realm, King of a Hidden Nation, Maker of Machines, Keeper of a Sanctum. You stand before the seat of balance. State your case. Strange feels the mark in his chest stir. He shuts it down with effort. He steps forward. Our world is under attack, he says, by a hive mind from another place. It uses stolen space stone energy to drill into our reality. Its creatures grow and adapt. They twist our magic, our tech, our bodies. We have fought to hold it back without breaking your laws. Images appear in the air as he speaks. New York under the crack. The hospital nest torn out and burned. Wakanda's shield holding against falling pods. The space station hybrid. We have refused certain paths. Strange continues. I carry a mark that could let me see their hive from within. I chose to bind it instead. We refuse to weaponize the Xenomorphs. We refuse to bomb cities full of hosts. We came here to ask how far can we go before we cross a line we cannot return from? The tribunal's sorrowful face watches. You fear two ends, it says. Devouring plague below. Erasing correction above. You seek to stand on the narrow bridge between. Steve steps up beside Strange. He lifts his chin. We're not asking for a free pass, he says. We know every choice has a price. We just don't want to save our world by turning it into something it was never meant to be. We don't want to become like the hive, even if that would make the fight easier, Tony adds, quieter than usual. I've spent a lot of time thinking I could fix everything with enough armor and power, he says. I know where that leads. It leads to Ultron. It leads to suits of iron around the world's neck. I don't want a suit of hive wrapped around our minds, even if it blocks some bullets. T'Challa speaks next. In our hidden nation, we have guarded power for generations, he says. Vibranium could have crushed many enemies. We kept it close, used it with care. Now that same metal shields the world. We know something about restraint, about sharing power without letting it rule us. We want to do the same with whatever tools you allow us to use now. Thor lifts his gaze to the tribunal. Realms rise and fall, he says. Some by their own pride, some by judgments from above. I have seen both. I am tired of watching worlds burn because someone decided their rules were worth more than their people, or the other way around. We ask for clear rules, so that if we must die, we do it, knowing we did not break the universe along the way. Wong's voice is steady. Magic exists to protect, he says. Not to dominate. We have held that line. We can accept limits. We can accept watchful eyes. We cannot accept becoming tools of erasure. The tribunal's three faces murmur in a way that is not sound. Scales appear in the air. On one side of each scale, scenes from Earth's battles. On the other, scenes from other worlds that face similar plagues or powers. Some chose to use forbidden marks. Those worlds glow bright for a moment, then darken and crack. Some refused all risky tools. Those worlds break under the weight of monsters. A few found a middle path. Those are rare. You are not the first world to face such choice, the tribunal says. Most choose easy extremes. Either they embrace every dark tool and become what they fight, or they cling to purity and fall with clean hands. Both end in imbalance. The stern face focuses on Strange. You refused the mark's full use, it says. Your refusal cost lives. It also kept a greater corruption from spreading faster. This pushes the scales toward mercy, but the mark remains. The hive's touch remains. Unchecked, it can still bloom. The sorrowful face looks at Steve. You defend the weak, it says. You hate the idea of drawing rings on maps that leave people outside, yet you know that in any war some are lost. Your heart leans toward impossible mercy. This pushes the scales toward delay. The blank face turns toward Tony. You calculate, it says. You see numbers, percentages. You are tempted by the mirror's promise. Save more in total, even if the path is ugly. Your mind leans toward cold balance. This pushes the scales toward harshness. The tribunal's three voices blend. Together, you form a shaky tripod. Not perfect, not hopeless. We will give you a mandate. Limits and powers, tools and chains. Power scaling interlude sound begins in their minds like a clear sheet of rules. You may cut nests from your world using combined magic and tech, the tribunal says, but you may only perform such deep portal surgery a limited number of times before the stone echoes crack. 3 major cuts remain before the fabric of your reality frays beyond repair. You may bind hive marks, but you may not use them as sight channels by choice. If a mark speaks, you may listen in defense, not in hunger for advantage. Lean too far and we will feel it. You may deploy sonic and vibranium weapons freely on your world, but may not use living xenomorphs or their biomass as weapons or tools. Any such attempt will tilt the scales sharply against you. You may open a final sanctioned path to the Queen's nest, one corridor under our watch that will not tear the stone echoes further. You may use it once. Its opening and closing will cost you dearly in magic, blood, and chance. The words settle like chains made of light. Strange feels them in his bones. Every time he imagines cutting another nest from the ground, a faint echo of that 3 number pulses in his chest. Steve imagines maps and feels the weight of that once corridor. Tony pictures designs for sonic arrays and sees a warning sign flash whenever his mind drifts toward weaponizing biomass. Steve steps forward again. What about mercy? He asks. What about people already in nests, already hosts? Are we allowed to risk bigger fires to save them? The tribunal's sorrowful face closes its eyes. Mercy is weighed case by case, it says. We will not give you a simple number. You must decide when one life is worth the risk to many. But know this. If you open portals or unleash power solely to save a few while risking the many, the scales will tilt. If you accept some loss to prevent greater loss and do so without cruelty, the scales may steady. T'Challa's voice is soft. And if we fail? he asks, "if we follow your rules and still lose our world?" The stern face answers, "Then you will fall as protectors, not as devourers or fools," it says. "In that case, our correction may be softer. There are ways to seal a broken branch without burning all its echoes." Thor lifts his chin. "And if we must break your rules to save those we love?" he asks. The blank face regards him. "Then you accept that you may save your loved ones for a time," it says, "and lose your world for all time. That is a choice you are free to make. Freedom does not erase consequence." Strange feels anger stir. "So we live under threat from both sides," he says. "Eaten if we fail, erased if we succeed the wrong way. Is that your idea of justice?" The tribunal's central face leans closer. "Forces this large always crush something," it says. "Your fight with the hive is not just about claws and acid. It is about what kind of story your world wants to tell. One of fearful purity, one of ruthless survival, or one of struggling balance, always imperfect, always bleeding, but still reaching for something better." It draws back. "Choose your path in the next phase, with that in mind," it says. "We have given you tools. We have set your limits. We will watch. We will not always speak. Victory in this frame is not 'no one dies.' That is no longer possible. Victory is your world does not become a hive. Your world does not become a tyrant. Your world remains itself, scarred but free." The light around them shifts. For a moment, each hero sees a possible future. Steve sees a world half covered in resin, but with cities still free because they fought in time. He also sees a world where they used every dark tool and won fast, but people flinch from their symbols. Tony sees silent armors patrolling empty streets. He sees fields of white crosses where New York once stood because they refused to bomb it. He also sees messy, living cities with scars, saved by choices that hurt but did not cross certain lines. T'Challa sees Wakanda's shield broken and its people scattered. He sees Wakanda ruling from a throne of captured hive tech, safe but cruel. He also sees Wakanda sharing its knowledge, standing with other nations in a world that remembers this war with pain, not with chains. Thor sees Asgard's memory judged. He sees a future where he raises his hammer in defense, not dominance. He sees a future where he does not learn from this and repeats his old mistakes on some other world. Strange sees himself as a monster sorcerer. He sees himself as a powerless monk watching the world burn because he refused every spell. He also sees himself old, tired, still carrying the mark, still saying no to easy doom. Wong sees the sanctums in ruins. He sees them sealed, safe but useless. He sees them standing, doors open, protecting as best they can. The visions fade. The tribunal's three faces speak one last time in this meeting. "You will soon stand at a fork of three paths," they say. "Return, free agent, sanctioned servant. Each has its own cost, but for now, leave this place. Use the tools we allowed. Hold to the limits we set. The next choice will define your world's story in our ledgers." A pillar of soft light forms around the heroes. It feels like being pressed through a page. For a moment, they are nowhere and everywhere. Then they are back on the ship. Engines hum. Runes glow. Outside the window, the golden sea is behind them. Ahead, the familiar stars of their own cosmic region. Strange clutches his chest. The mark is quiet, but its edges now carry a faint echo of the tribunal's rules. Every time he thinks about reaching into the hive, a small, silent weight reminds him of the cost. Tony leans on the console and lets out a long breath. "That was a lot," he says. "We got a hard limit, a one-time Queen corridor, and a cosmic warning label on every bad idea I've ever had." He looks at Steve. "So, now what, Cap?" he asks. "We go home. We hit the Queen. We try not to break the universe while we do it. That's the whole plan?" Steve looks out at the distant blue star that is Earth. "Pretty much," he says. "But now we know the rules. Now when we choose, we can't pretend we didn't see the bill." Thor puts a hand on Strange's shoulder. "You stood before a god of law and did not bow all the way," he says. "That is no small thing." Strange gives a weak laugh. "Yeah," he says. "Now we just have to stand before a queen of teeth and do the same." The ship turns. Its nose points back toward the small, threatened world they call home. Behind them, the seat of balance fades into the dark. Ahead, the crack in the sky waits. So does the hive. Up to now, the heroes have defended, probed, and stood in front of a cosmic judge. They have limits now. They have one clean path to the Queen. They know every big move will cost something real. Now they have to choose how to spend what's left. The ship drops back into Earth's orbit. Through the front window, they see the planet. Clouds swirl, lights glow in the dark. Over New York, the crack in the sky still burns. Smaller scars flicker over oceans and deep land. Hill's voice cuts in over the comm. "Welcome home," she says. "Hope the cosmic court liked your suits. Down here, we've been busy." Screens light up in the cabin. Nests mapped in red. Quarantine rings in black. Wakanda's shield in bright gold. A new, ugly mass under the Atlantic, pulsing like a second heart. Banner's face appears from the helicarrier. He looks older, even though it has only been days. "We found a mega nest," he says. "Deep sea trench, halfway between continents. It's big. Hundreds of eggs at least. Maybe thousands. If it bursts, both coasts get hit." Shuri stands beside him on another screen. "We tried to hit it with drones," she says. "The Queen warped the portals. Our probes went missing. My sonic waves don't reach that deep without scattering. We are almost out of tricks." Strange feels the Tribunal's words hum in his bones. 3 major nest cuts. 1 Queen corridor. No weaponizing the hive. Everything else is choice. He steps closer to the camera. "We saw the Tribunal," he says. "It knows about the hive and the broken stone. It gave us rules, hard ones," he explains. 3 times left to carve nests out of reality. 1 special corridor to the Queen's ship. No using xenomorph biology as tools. No leaning into his mark on purpose. Hill rubs her forehead as she listens. "So we have 3 bullets for the biggest nests," she says. "And 1 path straight to the Queen. After that, the gun breaks. And if we cheat, the universe itself kicks us." "Pretty much," Tony says. "On the bright side, at least we're not guessing anymore." Fury leans into the frame. His gaze is sharp. "Then we plan around that," he says. "First, we use 1 cut on the mega nest under the Atlantic. We cannot let it pop. Second, we use the Tribunal corridor to hit the Queen. Third and last cut, we hold back for whatever hell she throws at us on the way out. Or for some nasty surprise on Earth." Steve nods. "That leaves our regular nest to normal teams," he says. "Wakanda, SHIELD, local heroes, sonic weapons, containment foam. We save who we can, but we stop playing whack-a-mole with the Queen. We go for the head." Natasha's voice joins from a ground feed. She stands in a ruined street, batons on her back, face smudged with ash. "If you go after the Queen, we'll keep the streets clear," she says. "But don't take too long. The drones are getting smarter. Some of them hunt in patterns now. They set traps. We're losing more people in each fight." Okoye stands on the wall of Wakanda, spear raised. Behind her, the shield shines as pods slam and burn. "The longer this lasts, the more strain on our defenses," she says. "We can hold, but not forever." Everyone is tired. Everyone understands. Steve looks at Strange. "Can we do it?" he asks. "Cut that trench nest without ripping reality apart?" Strange nods slowly. "Yes," he says. "But it will count. 1 of 3. After that, we open the corridor to the Queen and we don't look back." The Atlantic operation happens fast. From the helicarrier, Tony, Banner, and Shuri coordinate. Strange and Wong stand on the deck with wind whipping their cloaks. Runes glow under their feet. Far below, the ocean heaves like a restless animal. Strange closes his eyes. He reaches down with careful magic. He feels pressure, cold, weight. A huge knot of resin and eggs clinging to a deep trench wall. Banner feeds him numbers. "Depth here, here, and here," he says. "Stone echoes in this band. If you cut outside that, we might nick something we don't want to nick." Shuri adds, "I'm sending you a vibranium pulse map," she says. "Think of it as an outline. Stay inside the lines like a very serious colouring book." Strange breathes in. He draws a wide, glowing circle over the sea. This time, the magic feels different. There is a soft weight around it. The Tribunal's limit. It is like casting while Wearing a heavy coat, he sinks the circle through the water, past sunlit waves, past dark cold, past pressure that would crush steel. He wraps it around the nest like a careful hand. The hive pushes back. Eggs quiver. Drones scream. Space itself resists, but above it all, unseen, a faint golden law holds the edges steady. Strange tightens the circle. He feels every egg and tunnel as it scrapes past the spell. He feels the Queen's anger at the far end of the tunnel. His chest mark flares, then is pressed down by red gold bindings. With a word, he pulls. A huge cylindrical chunk of water and nest rises out of the sea. It hangs in the air, wrapped in glowing light. Inside, drones thrash, eggs burst, acid steams. Thor steps forward. Lightning gathers around his hammer. He hurls bolts into the floating nest again and again. Steam jets out. Hulk, on a nearby platform, smashes any xenomorph that punches close to the edge. Shuri's sonic cannons on the helicarrier hum. They fire a deep, shaking wave into the suspended mass. Resin cracks. Eggs explode. The hive song inside the cylinder turns from hunger to pain. When no life remains, Strange opens a small portal above an empty part of space. He drops the steaming, broken nest through. It disappears. He sinks to one knee. His hands shake. Wong catches him. "That's two," Strange says through clenched teeth. "Hospital, trench, one more big cut left, that's it." Codex note: under the mandate of balance, Earth sorcerers can only perform 3 more deep nest excisions before the stone-scarred fabric of their reality begins to tear. Back on the helicarrier, the map updates. The huge red blotch in the Atlantic fades. Coastal zones shift from critical to high. It is not peace, but it is breathing room. Fury watches the data. "Good," he says. "Now we go for the source before she builds another one of those somewhere we can't reach." In the New York Sanctum, the strike team gathers again. This time, the circle on the floor glows not just with Strange's symbols. Faint, straight lines of gold run through it. The tribunal's mark. The corridor they are about to open is sanctioned. Once. Steve tightens the straps on his shield. Thor checks his hammer's balance. Black Panther touches a new necklace around his neck, loaded with Shuri's latest sonic toys. Spider-Man flexes his fingers, web shooters full and ready. "Sure about bringing the kid?" Tony asks quietly. Steve glances at Peter, who stands straighter when he hears it. "He's part of this world too," Steve says. "He's earned the right to fight for it, and he's fast, flexible, and used to weird physics. We might need that." Hulk looms near the back, breathing slowly. Banner is close, but not in control. They agreed he would come this time. The Queen's nest will not be a place for half measures. Wong stands at Strange's side. The cloak hovers near them. Both look tired, both look ready. Strange feels the mark in his chest stir. Before he can start the spell, the world goes thin. The sanctum disappears. He stands alone in a white space. No floor, no sky, just light. In front of him, the living tribunal appears again. Smaller than before, but still towering. Its 3 faces study him. "This is your fork," it says. "You asked how far you may go. We showed you limits. Now we show you your own 3 paths. Choose before you open that final corridor." Images form around them. The first shows Strange back in the sanctum, years from now. Older, calmer. His mark is gone. The hive is gone too, burned out after a long, slow war of nests. Earth is scarred but alive, but the crack in the sky is faintly visible. Sealed, but ugly. He has little power. He is a teacher, not a fighter. "Return," the sorrowful face says. "You ask for the mark to be removed. You give up great power and the right to cut deep into the stone scars." The hive is driven back over time by lesser means. Many more die. You grow old with clean hands in a world that survived, but wonders if it could have saved more. The second image shows Strange blazing with power. His chest mark is a bright star. Lines of blue, green and gold shoot from his hands. He stands in space, pulling the Queen's ship apart piece by piece, turning drones to dust, sealing portals with a thought. Earth below is safe. No cracks, no nests. But people look up at his symbol in fear. He floats above everything, half man, half law. "Free agent," the stern face says. You embrace the mark and all stone echoes. You break the queen in one great forbidden spell. Your world is safe from hives. It becomes your realm. You are its untouchable guardian. The scales in time tilt too far. Our correction is harsh. This branch is sealed or erased when your rule destabilizes many others. The third image shows Strange as he is, but older and more worn. His mark still glows, but its edges are bound with small, balanced rings of light. He stands on a hill of broken resin and metal. The Queen's ship is gone, replaced by a sealed sphere hanging in the sky like a dark moon. Around him, the Avengers, Wakanda, and other allies stand. Cities below are damaged, but busy. Children play under patched roofs. The crack in the sky is gone, replaced by a thin scar. Sanctioned servant, the blank face says. You accept a binding. You agree to serve as our balanced hand for your world in matters of stone and hive. You gain the right to use certain forbidden tools under strict cost and watch. Every great spell will hurt you. Every break of rule will hurt your world. You will have impact, you will lose comfort, and some freedom. Strange studies the three visions. In the first he sees slow funerals. In the second he sees quick safety and later erasure. In the third he sees long struggle. No perfect win, no clean story, just work. What about my friends? He asks. In each path, the images shift. In return, Steve is older, limping, still fighting small nests. Black Widow's hair is grey. Tony dies in a small battle in some forgotten city, saving a few hundred people when a nest pops in a bad place. Thor wanders, restless. T'Challa's Wakanda is tired but standing. In Free Agent, most of them are gone early. Strange fights alone at higher and higher scales. He stops calling them in. They can't keep up. In Sanctioned Servant, they age. Some fall in battles. Some retire and teach. New heroes rise. The war is sharp and ugly, but it ends with a world still strong enough to argue. Strange's throat is tight. The tribunal's three faces watch, silent. Slowly, he speaks. Returning and walking away from this level of power sounds peaceful, he says. But it is peace bought with other people's blood. I don't think I can live with that, knowing I stepped back when I could have done more. He looks at the second vision. Free agent, he says. I know that one too well. That is the path of every warlock who thought they knew better than the rules. It looks like mercy at first. It ends in tyranny. I won't be that man. He turns to the third image. So that leaves the hard road, he says. I accept your boundaries. I accept the mark as a tool I can only use under your watch. I accept pain when I cast. I accept that every big move has a cost, you see, not just me. I become your sanctioned servant for this world, not as its ruler, as its shield. The tribunal's central face nods once. Spoken with clear eyes, it says. Then we bind your choice. Light pours down on Strange. It is not gentle, it burns. He feels his mark twist, the blue-green lines rearrange. Golden rings snap into place around them like small turning gears. A new symbol forms on his chest, a circle like the Sanctum's window. Inside it, the Avengers A. Over both, a vertical eye shape with three tiny marks at the top like the tribunal's faces. It glows once, then settles. Pain floods his body. His magic pathways redraw themselves. Some spells vanish, others sharpen. He feels the Queen's hive at a distance, but through layers of law now, not raw nerve. That symbol is now recorded in our ledger, the tribunal says. When it shines, your world acts within the mandate of balance. When it darkens, you stray. You will feel it before we do. Strange gasps. He drops to one knee in the white void. When he looks up, the tribunal is fading. One more thing, the sorrowful face says. You will die sooner this way. The strain on your mortal form will be heavy, but your world will live longer. That trade is yours to carry. Strange lets out a half laugh. Story of my life, he says. I was a surgeon. We make cuts so others can heal. This is just a bigger knife. The white space vanishes. He is back in the sanctum, standing in the circle with his friends. Only a second has passed. Steve looks at him. So does Tony. So does everyone. On Strange's chest, through cloth, A faint new symbol glows. "Doc?" Tony asks. "You okay?" Strange straightens. He feels older. He feels clearer. "I made a choice," he says. "I'm now officially the universe's least comfortable employee, but it gave us what we need to finish this." He raises his hands. Golden and red light rise from the floor. The tribunal's mark flickers once, then steadies. "Let's open that one corridor," he says, "and end this." The portal to the Queen's Nest is different from the last corridor. It is narrower, sharper. The walls look like glass mixed with starlight. Along them, faint lines of gold run like veins. As the team steps in, Steve, Tony, Thor, Hulk, Black Widow, Black Panther, Spider-Man, Wong, Strange, the air feels thick, not like the last warping tunnel. This one feels watched. "FRIDAY. Status?" Tony asks. "Corridor stable," she answers. "External drift. Negligible. There is a secondary pattern overlaying Strange's spell. Looks like cosmic law. I don't have a variable for that, boss." "Just call it do not break," Tony says. "And we'll try not to." The tunnel hums. At its far end, a dark shape grows. The Kree ship, twisted by resin and growth. They emerge into shadow. The Queen's Nest is a huge chamber at the broken ship's center. Metal bones curve like ribs. Resin covers walls and ceiling. Eggs line the floor in endless rows, some open, some still closed. High above, wrapped around a cracked cubic device that still leaks blue light, the Xenomorph Queen hangs. She is massive. Long limbs, a crown of black chitin spreading like wings. Her tail is as thick as a tree trunk. Green acid drips from her fanged mouth. Her eyes are still empty sockets, but she looks at them all the same. Around the chamber, drones cling to walls. Hybrids with faint glowing lines prowl between eggs. The air stinks of acid and old blood. Steve lifts his shield. The Avengers form a line at the edge of the egg field. Thor's hammer hums. Hulk growls deep in his chest. Spider-Man sticks to a wall, eyes wide but steady. "Remember the rules," Strange says quietly. "No wide energy blasts if you can help it. Sonic on nests, vibranium on drones. I'll handle the Queen and the cube. With some help." The Queen screeches. The sound hits them like a punch. It is not just noise. It is hunger made sound. Eggs shiver. Drones leap. The final battle begins. Hulk charges first. He plows into a cluster of drones, smashing them with careful, controlled blows. He rips one in half and flings the pieces into a resin wall, away from eggs and friends. Acid sprays, but he angles it where it does least harm. "Hulk, smash smart," he roars. Thor calls lightning, but in thin, tight bolts, this time. He uses them like scalpels, not hammers. Each strike hits a hybrid's head, frying it without lighting the whole nest on fire. Black Panther moves in a blur, claws glowing with stored energy. He slashes drones across joints, not bellies. Sparks and acid fly, but his suit holds. Spider-Man swings and flips above the egg rows, webbing facehuggers and flinging them into sonic traps Black Widow throws. "Gross, gross, so gross," he mutters with each catch, but his hands do not shake. Natasha plants Shuri's sonic discs in careful lines. She slaps them onto resin walls, onto egg clusters, under hanging drones. She triggers them in bursts, shaking eggs apart before they can open. Tony flies higher, focusing on hybrids near the cube. His repulsors are tuned to short, dull bursts, more like punches of force than beams of light. They hit hard but do not feed the stone echoes as much. Wong and Strange walk forward like pillars. Wong keeps a wide shield over the team, catching acid sprays and warped gravity pulses from lurking hybrids. Strange's hands glow with his new symbol's light. He feels the tribunal's weight with every spell. "Going for the cube," Strange says. "Keep the Queen busy." The Queen moves. She drops from the ceiling like a falling nightmare and lands in front of them. The impact shakes the ship. Eggs bounce. Resin cracks. She lunges at Hulk. He meets her with a roar. Her claws rip into his shoulder. Acid pours. His skin burns and heals at the same time. Thor swings his hammer at her head. She catches it with one claw. The weapon slows, caught in warped space around her. One of the hybrids near her chest glows brighter. It pulses, bending gravity around her forelimbs. "New trick!" Tony calls. She's got warp nodes plugged into her body. Those glowing hybrids are boosting her field. Take them out! Black Panther and Spider-Man move as one. Panther darts under the Queen's tail, claws flashing. He slashes one glowing hybrid off her leg. It falls and shatters under a booming sonic burst from Natasha. Spider-Man swings in, webbing another pulsing creature clinging to her side. He yanks it free and flings it into Hulk's fist. Hulk punches it into paste. The Queen's gravity field weakens. Thor's hammer breaks free and lands a clean blow against her jaw. Black ichor sprays. She screeches again, louder. The hive mind in Strange's chest shudders. He feels it, trying to rise. He forces it down. He focuses on the cube. The cracked Kree device hangs behind the Queen, embedded in resin. Blue light leaks from it in sharp beams, feeding tunnels that stretch through the hull and out toward the portal over Earth. Strange raises his hands. He does not cut wildly. He shapes a precise cage around the cube and the Queen's upper body. Golden red lines of law and magic weave in the air. Each line burns along his nerves. His new symbol flares with pain. This is the last big... Cut! He says through gritted teeth. We're sealing her and her stone toy together. No more tunnels, no more cracks. The tribunal's presence brushes his mind. A silent nod. Permission. The Queen feels the cage forming. She thrashes, tail whipping, limbs stabbing. She flings drones at Strange, using them like living bullets. Steve steps in front of him. He raises his shield and plants his feet. Drones slam into his shield and bounce away. He grunts with each hit but holds. "We've got you," Steve says over his shoulder. "You just do your job." Tony flies up and fires short bursts at the Queen's joints, driving her back into the forming cage. Thor and Hulk push from the front, hammer and fists beating her toward the glowing lines. Black Panther slashes at her tail, forcing her to move it where Strange's magic is thickest. Spider-Man webs loose hybrids away from the cube. Natasha and Wong keep drones and facehuggers from flanking the group. Every spell Strange weaves feels like it carves a line inside his chest. He can hear the hive screaming. He can feel the stone echoes straining. The tribunal's symbol burns. Pain crawls up his spine and into his skull. He keeps going. At last, the cage is complete. A sphere of light surrounds the Queen and the cube. Inside it, gravity warps. Acid floats in small beads. The Queen hurls herself at the walls, but each strike only tightens them. Strange speaks a final word, one he did not know until the tribunal placed it in his mind. A command of balance. A sealing verb. The sphere shrinks. It compresses, smaller and smaller. The Queen's screech rises in pitch, then cuts off. The cube's cracks knit together. Blue light folds inward. In seconds, the huge monster and the device that fed her tunnels are gone. Only a smooth, dark orb the size of a car remains, floating in the air, glowing faintly with 3 small golden marks. Strange staggers. His knees hit resin. His hands tremble. His heart feels like shattered glass held together by will. Wong grabs him. "Stephen," he says. Strange forces his eyes open. "Did we do it?" he gasps. Around them, the nest is changing. Drones falter, their movements slow. Hybrids go still, eyes dimming. On Earth, in sewers and tunnels and ruined streets, Xenomorphs freeze mid-lunge. Facehuggers curl up and die. Eggs stop pulsing. In Wakanda, Okoye watches as the swarm beating against the shield drops. Bodies hit the ground with dull thuds. Silence follows. In New York, Natasha's ground teams stumble as the enemies in front of them suddenly go slack. Guns lower. People blink at each other. At SHIELD HQ, monitors show red dots fading from maps. One by one. Hundreds. Thousands. Fury stares. "Tell me that's not a glitch," he says. "Because if it is, I'm going to be very unhappy." Banner checks the readings. "It's not a glitch," he says softly. "The hive just went offline. No. Central mind. No telepathic signal. The drones are dying without orders. The eggs, too. On the Queen's ship, the heroes stand among still bodies. Hulk pokes a drone with one giant finger. It droops, dead. No acid flows. Thor lets out a long breath. "It seems we have pulled the fangs from this serpent," he says. Spider-Man drops from the wall, shoulders sagging with relief. "Is it really over?" he asks. Tony hovers nearby. "Big head and big cube are gone," Tony says. "Tunnel closed. No central Wi-Fi for the bugs. Looks good from here." He looks at Strange. "Doc," he says. "You alive?" Strange smiles weakly. Define alive, he says. Then he nods. Yes, I'm still here. The mark is changed. It hurts. But the hive's voice is a whisper now. No queen behind it. The dark orb hangs above them, humming softly. What do we do with that? Steve asks. He can feel the danger in it. It is a prison for a monster and a cracked stone all at once. Strange pushes himself to his feet. He sways but stands. We don't keep it, he says. We don't study it. We don't try to weaponize it. We send it where it belongs. He lifts his hands one more time. The tribunal symbol glows bright. A slim pillar of golden light appears around the orb. For a moment they see 3 faint faces in it, watching. Then the orb rises. It vanishes into the light. The pillar closes. Far away in the seat of balance, a new sphere appears on a distant ring. It hangs there like a sealed infection. Watched, not opened. Back in the hive, the walls groan. Without the Queen's stabilizing field, the ship and nest start to fall apart. Resin cracks, metal creaks, pieces of ceiling drop. Time to go, Tony shouts. Everybody back to the corridor. Now! They run. Hulk carries Strange without asking. Spider-Man webs broken bits out of their path. Thor and Steve cover the rear, shield and hammer smashing stray drones that still twitch. They throw themselves back into the glowing corridor. Behind them, the nest chamber collapses. Fire and dark pour in. The walk back feels longer. The corridor shakes as the hive's tunnels collapse around it. Strange and Wong pour what magic they have left into holding the path. The tribunal's faint support is still there, like a hand steadying theirs. At last, the Sanctum Circle appears ahead. They stumble out into stone and candlelight. The portal collapses behind them with a final, sharp crack. The air in the Sanctum is suddenly just air. No hive, no space stone echo, just home. Strange drops to the floor. This time he doesn't try to stand. His new symbol glows once, then settles into a steady, low light. He breathes, slow and careful, alive, bound, free in a new way. Days later, the world is still counting its dead, and it's living. Nests are being cleared by cleanup teams. Wakandan sonic gear hums in sewers and tunnels. SHIELD. Agents in hazmat suits carry egg fragments into sealed vaults only to burn them again and again just in case. Banner and Shuri design detectors that can spot even tiny traces of hive biology. Every time someone suggests keeping a live sample, the new symbol Strange carries itches on their screens. A gentle reminder. They don't. Some people wake from early-stage hosting with scars and nightmares. Some never wake. Many streets smell of burned resin and acid for weeks. New York's skyline is marked by the memory of the crack. People still look up when thunder rolls. Wakanda's shield generators rest for the first time in days. Okoye and her warriors train with new drills for alien infestation. They hope they never need them again. They know they might. In the Sanctum, Doctor Strange moves slower than before. Some spells take more effort, some are gone. But when he opens a portal now, he feels the edges of it in a deeper way. He knows exactly how much each one costs. He pays the price willingly, and never more than he must. One afternoon, Steve visits. They sit with tea at a small table under the stained glass. Outside, the city hums. Inside, it feels almost peaceful. "How's the chest?" Steve asks. Strange taps the spot lightly. "Feels like someone installed a very opinionated compass," he says. "It hums when I get too close to certain ideas, like keeping a piece of the Queen or using my mark to peek into places I shouldn't. Kind of annoying, very useful." Steve smiles. "And the tribunal?" he asks. "They watching every move?" Strange shrugs. "Yes. No, maybe," he says. "They're aware, but they're not hovering over every breakfast. They care when we get close to big lines. Stone echoes, hive traces, world-shaking spells. The rest? That's still on us." Steve nods. "I can live with that," he says. "We didn't get erased. We didn't become a hive. We didn't turn into tyrants. That's a win in my book." Strange looks at him. "We lost a lot of people," he says softly. "Some we might have saved with darker choices. Some we saved because we refused those choices. Balance sounds clean. Living it does not." Steve's gaze is steady. "I know," he says. "That's the world we live in. We chose a path where we remember the dead and still look each other in the eye. I'd rather carry that weight than the kind where we look away. Later, the Avengers gather one more time on a rooftop in New York. The sky is clear, the false crack is gone, only stars. Tony, Steve, Thor, Natasha, Banner, Hulk, in calmer form, Black Panther, Spider-Man, Wong and Strange stand together. Below, people move through the streets, rebuilding, laughing sometimes already. Humans bend, they do not always break. A SHIELD drone hovers nearby, projecting a symbol into the sky for a moment. It is new, a circle like the Sanctum's window. Inside it, the Avengers A. At the top, 3 tiny ticks like a crown, the mandate of balance, Earth's new promise to itself and to the sky. Think people will like it? Tony asks. Or freak out that we're posting our homework from Cosmic Court on the clouds? Spider-Man grins behind his mask. I think it looks cool, he says. And if it reminds people we're trying to do this the hard, honest way, that seems good. Thor nods. It tells any who are watching, above or below, that this world is no one's prey, he says. Not the hives, not a tyrants, not even the tribunals. We will listen, we will respect, we will also choose. Natasha watches the little points of light moving in windows. Villains will adjust too, she says. Hydra, AIM, whoever else. They saw these bugs. They already dream of using something like them. We'll have to stay sharp. T'Challa folds his arms. Wakanda will keep an ear to the ground, he says. If anyone tries to breed new horrors from this war, we will be there, with spears. And if needed, lawyers. Banner laughs quietly. Lawyers might scare them more, he says. Strange looks up at the projected symbol. He feels its echo on his chest. This is not a happy ever after, he says. We still have nests to clean, people to help, other threats on other days. The tribunal will call again, something else will come through some other crack. But we know who we are a little better now. Steve nods. We're Earth's defenders, he says. Not its owners, not its gods. We fight monsters. We don't become them. We listen when the universe says, careful. We argue when it says quit. That's the deal. Fury's voice comes over the comm, dry as ever. Enjoy your rooftop speeches, he says. Tomorrow you're back to training, debriefs and paperwork. World's still spinning. Let's keep it that way. They smile. One by one, they head back down. Thor rides a beam of rainbow light to another realm that needs rebuilding. Black Panther takes a quiet ship back to Wakanda. Natasha and Banner disappear into SHIELD tunnels and labs. Tony and Peter swing and fly through the city, checking on repair crews. Strange returns to the Sanctum. Wong waits with a long list of small, normal, magical problems. He takes the list with a tired, content sigh. In a small apartment in Queens, a boy who once held a Captain America toy stands at his window. His arms are bandaged, but healing. His parents cook in the next room. The TV mutters news about post-invasion rebuilding in the background. He looks up at the sky and sees the last glow of the new symbol fading. Mom? He calls. Yeah, she answers. Do you think the heroes will stop the next monsters too? He asks. There is a pause. I think they'll try, she says. And I think they'll remember what this felt like. That matters. The boy nods. He picks up his toy. He has drawn something new on the shield with a marker, a small circle around the star, 3 tiny dots at the top. He holds it up, proud. Looks good, he says to himself. We're still here. Outside, far beyond any telescope, the seat of balance watches. In one corner of its vast structure, a sealed dark orb hangs. Inside it, a queen and a broken cube sleep, wrapped in laws they cannot chew through. On another ring, a tiny symbol glows on a tablet of light. A circle, an A. 3 small ticks. The living tribunal's 3 faces glance at it. This branch bleeds, the stern face says. It has lost much. This branch refused easy power, the sorrowful face says. It carries its dead with open eyes. This branch remains in balance, the blank face says. For now. The symbol glows a little brighter. Then the judge turns its gaze elsewhere, to other worlds, other choices. On Earth, life goes on. Codex note: under the mandate of balance, Earth 6116's defenders are now sanctioned by cosmic law to act against stone-corrupted threats and hive-like plagues, so long as they refuse to become weapons or tyrants themselves.